2016 says I just whipped your ass.
Yes! You just made the list!
Brock Lesnar.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Stuart Van.
My name is Joshua Plummer.
And yes, we're back for technically for reviewing our last review of 2020. Obviously, our last WWE pay-per-view, of course, as well. We're looking at TLC.
Tables, ladders, and chairs. With the theme of a storm brewing. I'm not quite sure how the storm aspects fits into tables, ladders, and chairs. Chaos, I guess. But yeah, the annual show where titles are put on the line or grudges are settled in tables, ladders, and chairs matches. It was very nice that they actually, because I think it's some years where they've had TLC where they haven't put the title aloft to be grabbed off the top of the ladder. Sometimes just won by pinfall, as far as I remember. So it's nice that they're actually consistent with that and said, okay, it's going to be held on top of the ladder. You have to climb up and get the title, which helps our prediction league a lot.
Yeah, it does. Because I've got to be honest, I think one put a tiebreaker on one of the matches. I was kind of worried. I think, oh damn. I think that would go badly because it did last time. So,
yep.
But yeah, and also what I liked about it as well was like both of there wasn't just one TLC match, there was two, and they're both for the title.
Yep, both the world titles, and we got an Inferno match as well, which is something you'd expect for like an Extreme Rules pay-per-view or Halloween Havoc TLC. Okay, unless it kind of fits end of year Armageddon kind of theme, I guess. I
don't know. I mean, we'll get into it obviously near the when we get to the point, but yeah, it's I got around some intrigue how what it was going to be. So, and what they did wasn't what I was expecting, but I don't think anyone was. And if they said they were, they're lying. Let's be honest. But yeah. So I guess I always think with TLC, it's like WWE pay-per-views in general. I always sit there and say, "Oh, were you looking forward to it?" And half of the time, I say, "Not really." I just kind of was intrigued by one or two matches, but I guess were you the same kind of with this pay-per-view, or were you kind of looking forward to it?
I was looking forward to the biggest match I was looking forward to was not the TLC matches, but the Inferno match. Obviously, the character of the Fiend and the history with Orton. It's great. Alexa Bliss is doing a fantastic job as well. We're going down the route of some of these matches we've seen before, like some of them on the occasion, like the week before on Raw or SmackDown. There's a little bit of intrigue with the tag team match of who the partner was going to be. We'll get into that a little bit later on. And you could, like, gauging from the results of our prediction league, it was a very predictable show of who was going to walk out victorious in most of the matches, in particular the world title matches.
Yeah, I think it was like you're always going to get that, especially at the end of the year. They usually don't do anything. Normally don't do any drastic title changes or anything drastic unless it's part of like a larger plan for like the WrestleMania card. But yeah, it's like you're always going to get these kind of pay-per-views, right? Like WWE, it's kind of like you look at every match and you go, okay, yeah, 9 times out of 10 that's probably where it's going to go, but that's fine. I mean, it was like it's that thing with wrestling. It's like we always think unpredictability is bad, like it's good, and predictability is bad, but predictability is good. You know, it's not about really who wins. It's like, is the match going to be good enough?
Predictability is good if you have a story in mind which you like them to go along with, you know, or it's usually around about WrestleMania where the underdog or the face has to overcome the heel to win the championship. It's always a good story, establishing a new star or whatever it may be, finishing off a feud.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of... I don't think I've ever seen anything too drastic when it comes to anything drastic at the last pay-per-view of the year, unless it's like planned, right? So it was I don't know, it's just I was going into it kind of like every pay-per-view lately with WWE, just kind of go into it and go, oh, okay, we'll watch it, see what happens. Low expectations, because you kind of always do now. But kind of hoping that, you know, it turned into a good pay-per-view, and I've done that in the last couple of them, and I've enjoyed them by doing that, because I'm expecting my bar is so low that when it's actually surprisingly good, it's it's a nice feeling. So I kind of went in thinking the same. So I guess we're both on agreement on that one, I guess.
I think so.
But obviously when it comes to the pay-per-view, obviously as always we do the kickoff, but normally we do it for the sake of admin, or have to bring it up. But in this case, I
bring
actually
it
do
up.
bring it up. But there's an interesting thing we want to talk about that. Obviously, a weird thing is obviously we've got big. We had like a 8-man tag between obviously Big E, Daniel Bryan, Otis, and Chad Gable. That again, I pointed out before we recorded, like he's a heel, right, or a face.
He is a heel who thinks he's a good guy. In other words, he's an asshole.
So as somebody said, he's a Kurt Angle. He's basically Kurt Angle.
He's basically early Kurt Angle. Yeah,
I like that. I always like them. I like that story. He's always like the Johnny Gargano in NXT one time when it's like he thinks everyone loves him, but they actually hate him, type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so but I just saw in the cards like I'm sure he turned heel, but okay, we'll go for that against obviously the conspiracy theorist himself, Sami Zayn, Unicorn Champion. King Corbin, that's being King Corbin, and obviously Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Almost got
there we
that
go.
wrong. This is, you could say that Sami Zayn has rekindled his kind of group, well, like for one night only with his I don't know what that group was called, but with Nakamura and
I don't think they had the name. I think they were just Sami Zayn's goons, I guess.
he does. I got to be honest though. I think I've said it many times. If I was a heel, I'd be Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Sami Zayn he's a great heel champion. I miss him as a face. I'd love him to come back as a face to have a big WrestleMania underdog kind of moment, but it's looking like it's going to be the opposite, where he might walk in at WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion again, but you never know. Depending based on the outcome of the match and what happens. Yeah, it is next week, isn't it? On the next SmackDown.
Yeah. So obviously, hopefully we get this out before then. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. So this doesn't feel a bit dated, but Big E, because obviously the reason I bring it up because obviously Big E pinned Sami Zayn. So like that's usual. He gets a title shot because he pinned the champion in a match. That's kind of refreshing, I guess. But the way they've been setting it up, it's like Big E's taking that title.
Yeah, there's a very funny moment or funny segment last weekend where you had the Sammy Awards, and of course all the awards go to himself. And the Superstar of the Year, and the Superstar of the Year is Big E. It's his reaction's like, what?
And I think I love the way it's like during the show, like obviously we've gone fast forward, but like there was like 1 or 2 backstage segments with about it. And like as always, it's a conspiracy theory. It's like, but he works it so well because he's kind of right, but because he's a dick about it, nobody wants to believe him. But yeah, it's like what was it? There was later in the night. There was a bit where Sami Zayn was like confronting Big E, and then R-Truth was like that awkward friend that kind of like tries to make a joke to calm the mood, but no one was laughing and no one cared. I think it was like he said something weird, R-Truth.
Oh, it was. I made a note of it. What the heck did he say? Let's have a little look, see if I can find it. Separate and touch. If you say separate, your lips touch. Say separate, but if you say touch, your lips don't.
But what I love about that is not actually the joke. It's just Sami Zayn was like went silent and then just confronted Big E. He's like, I'm just not acknowledging that statement. He's like, it's like that friend. It's just like he said something and then it goes awkward. He's like, what is this? And then after it got a bit heated, R-Truth was like, okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye. It was kind of want to bring it up for the fact that obviously Big E pinned Sami Zayn. So hopefully. So it looks, the way it's set up, it looks like Sami Zayn there's a swerve, or he gets like a cheat win, or it's kind of a thing where Big E wins, but it's like in a controversial fashion where Sami Zayn can complain about foul play and all that kind of stuff,
leading to a rematch at the Rumble. Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, because it's like people. I gotta be honest. Just like I keep saying, Sami Zayn is a heel that I would be, because it's like he's obnoxious, annoying. When he's passionate about something, he can't shut up, like kind of thing. I could be that.
That's you down to a T, Stu.
Yep. I'm self-aware. I understand myself. I understand how people perceive me. But but it's like he's got the hair as well and the long beard. If you saw my hair on the first lockdown and my beard,
basically, if you combined my current hair, my lockdown locks, with your beard, and obviously dyed it ginger, Sami Zayn. There we go.
Yeah. I go around. Normally I would take it as a negative, but because Sami Zayn's really good at playing that character, it's actually a positive.
Yeah.
Actually, not. It's not an insult. But yeah, I always think I'll be that guy. going around basically not over taking my character and myself and turn it up to 10. That's what Sami Zayn is.
Basically, it's the activism side of Sami, which is great work, showing that the worst sides of people like virtue signal and all this crap. I mean, yeah, as you said, turning it up to 10 or even 11 in some cases, and makes it very annoyingly entertaining or annoying, depending how you look at it.
Well, it's just he does exactly what he was supposed to. You want someone to beat the crap out of him, so he's doing his job.
But you also want him to succeed by being a genius.
Or he still had the best, unique way of winning a ladder match we've ever seen. So
yeah,
we keep forgetting about that, by the way. But
it won that ladder match won the Sammy Award, so it didn't get forgotten about.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, Sammy Awards, mate. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't. I gotta be honest. They really. I kind of love that segment. It's like how up your own arse you have to be to create your own award show, and you win everything. So his character, I love it. But an annoying thing is now they've actually got the Slammies this week. So I'm like. I don't care about the Sammys. I care about the Sammys, not the Slammies.
Yeah.
They're more important. Anyway, but again, we've done it again. We've talked a bit more than we should about a certain subject.
Let's crack on with the first match, shall we?
Yes, I just want to bring it up, so apologise. This might be a bit of a little bit of editing on my part, but yeah. But so obviously kicked off with, surprisingly, well, can't be there when there's 2 TLC matches, the WWE Championship being on the line with Drew McIntyre. I think this is his first defence since he won it from Randy Orton, I think.
Yes, because he didn't defend it against Roman Reigns.
No,
although that would have been cool, but there we go.
But that's a discussion for another day. But against AJ Styles, that if I remember correctly, won a tournament or some sort of I can't remember what he actually won to get the title shot.
A qualifying match, then I think went into a triple threat kind of thing. I think with Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. If I can remember rightly. This was also their first ever meeting, which I completely forgot about. I thought they'd already faced each other before because they'd faced each other in tag team matches. I'm sure they had. Well,
they've probably been but to be fair, since when you think about it, it makes sense because Drew's always been on Raw and AJ's majority been on SmackDown. So
he was on Raw for the WrestleMania season. Yeah, he went to SmackDown, didn't he? Yeah, afterwards, and then got transferred to Raw.
Yeah, but it's always been, but Drew's only now been main level, main event. So it's kind of always been, AJ's always been there since day one, to be honest, since day one. So, but no, either way, it's too cool. I mean, the whole story, I guess, going into it is basically it's nothing really crazy in the sense. It's just AJ saying that you're the inexperience of being a champion kind of situation. You might make mistakes, slip up, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, quote, don't think you can handle the pressure.
It's I gotta be honest though, it makes me feel for me, it feels like you could have used that if it was his first couple of months as champion. Just won it at WrestleMania. But the guy's been champion since, well, if you count that slip when he lost it, he's been champion for so long. He's had so many challenges. That argument becomes non and void in my opinion.
Yeah. They've done a good job in giving Drew the right opponents. Because they could have so easily gone. This is what happened to Rollins' reigns as well. They threw him straight in with AJ, and that was a dream match that everyone wanted to see. And so with AJ, but they actually waited this time. It was Shinsuke Nakamura. Everyone wanted to see that match, but they waited and waited for the right time. With AJ Seth, they didn't. With Drew and AJ, they did. I mean, arguably they could have had a match at Royal Rumble, or that could even been the WrestleMania match. But with the Money in the Bank being in play with that stipulation, it makes sense. What I think they could have done, instead of don't think you can handle the pressure, they could have played more on AJ. Obviously, he's the phenomenal one. Just the idea of who is the best, who AJ would say he would be, or AJ saying, yeah, you've beaten all these guys, you've beaten Orton, you've beaten Rollins, but you haven't beaten AJ Styles. You haven't beaten the phenomenal one. You can't beat me. So this is one of his most ultimate challenges. And AJ has experience with TLC and not just in WWE.
Yeah, I like that more. The idea of just you've faced them all, but you haven't faced anyone like me. I like that more. I get that. But I don't know. It's just It's a nitpick, of course, because when you've got it's like when you got AJ in any title match, you know you're going to get a great match because the guy 9 times out of 10 delivers in great matchups. Got to be honest. Going into this, I was never thinking, wow, this is going to suck, because it's AJ Styles. It's like, didn't he have that when he was like, he basically carried like SmackDown for how many years?
Yep, the house that AJ Styles built.
Exactly. It's just that. So I had no doubts this is going to be a great match. But it was more, I was just more, and kind of, I wasn't in doubt, well, majority of the match he was going to win, until a certain person done a certain thing that we'll talk about when we get into that bit. But
they did a good job in presenting the obstacles that Drew has to overcome, and they were consistent about what AJ's tactic was. So constantly for Omos would be there, not causing any distractions there, but he has a big presence about him, so it's clearly someone Drew wants to keep an eye on Omos. And AJ in the build-up has been attacking Drew's leg to make sure that he can't climb the ladder, because he's a tall guy. By the time he's climbed 2 rungs, he's pretty much at the top already. And you needed that element. You need that story injury element, because this match wasn't going to be between 2 athletic spot monkeys. This was not going to be Lucha Bros against Young Bucks kind of ladder match. This was going to be 2 different styles. One that suits Styles, and it's another thing for the face champion to overcome. Yeah,
and if anything I like about Drew, it's like I think I've kind of noted in my notes, like you can kind of notice it. It's like the guy can. I know it's quite basic, but like he's selling, or like kind of his selling of like he's always good at like struggling. He always looks like a guy that's very good at like.
Yeah.
You can feel sympathy for him. You know, like with like obviously in this match they worked on the leg a lot, and it's like a lot of people can like some people might, if they weren't like experienced or like know, or kind of like they have a leg, they've like done their leg in, and then they like forget about it. But I just like the way it's just like it was just a constant like a grind where like near the end it was like he was struggling because it's like he's really selling the leg, and he's kind of selling how difficult this match is.
Yep. You also want to lessen the impact of the Claymore as well. If that's his main weapon, take it out.
It's just smart heel work here by AJ. You expect nothing less from, really, isn't it? It's like it's what a heel would do. It's like get an advantage that you can exploit in a match that, you know, where weapons are legal, you know, makes sense. But to be fair though, in the start of the match though, Drew was quite dominant. Like literally just throwing AJ around the place, you know, over tables, you know, into steps, like onto the barricades, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he had a lot to overcome, but ultimately he could throw his weight around and throw AJ's weight around as well. Very much a big kind of brawler, and he was showcasing that as well. So he has his own weapons, his own threats. A little bit of an awkward setup with the table on the outside. He set it up, had to reach across to slam AJ's head into it, and then realised he couldn't get round, so he had to jump over the announce table, which showed initiative.
Yeah, creative. You kind of like it, but I've got to be honest, I'm not like the idea of like all these tables around anyway. I don't know if it's me, maybe it's just a really nitpicky thing, but it's like, why did you have to have all those tables on the ramp, or like all these like, you know, setups? It is TLC, and I get it, you got to have all of them, but did it really?
I'd rather them be like laid outside, like against the barricade, so it's just more accessible to the wrestlers. Unless someone's doing like a massive dive like, off the like out the ring, like a suicide dive, or doing a Jeff Hardy set up a ladder on the ramp area and doing a swanton bomb there.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's nothing new, because obviously TLC in the sense of just when it was just a match in the 2000s and stuff, obviously they had ladders and tables and all that, but I don't know, it's just it's really a nitpicky thing, but it's just like I always think if you've got all these tables out there, kind of use most of them. It's the old wrestling thing, isn't it? It's like if you set up a table or tables out there, you got to go through it. You know, it's the rules, man. It's got to be done.
We're seeing a lot of like tables, especially in matches, not necessarily like kind of post-match attacks, where all these tables are obviously set up for the big kind of finish where everyone goes down when a certain briefcase holder comes running in. But they're set up of tables, and then they just suddenly, just ignore it. So it's obviously going to be used for later on. It's like, if you're setting up a table, surely you have the intention of using that table now. Why would you just forget about it?
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like lately, it's just like, It's like when what was it like when you see like example like Takeover, when I think they had the thing in the War Games match, you had like a ladder set up on the in between the rings, and it's just there for a while, and you're like, it's either going to be the finish, or someone's gone through that. So it's like the same thing. It's like a table set up on the I think there was a table's like kind of like perched on the side of and you're just waiting for like, okay, who's going to go for that table, who's going to go for that table. I mean, we also forget that Michael Cole, I don't know if it was a botch or just he read the wrong notes, but I think it was like, how many times do you have to be reminded that it's a ladder, not a table?
Yeah.
It was put through. I gotta be honest, it was just like, he's being put through a table, and I'm like, no,
that's a ladder.
It's a ladder. Then he repeated the thing, and then he had to go, oh, it's through the table. Like, I mean ladder. It's like, yeah, it makes me think that it was supposed to go through the table. But like, they were like, oh no, he's gonna catch him differently or something. I don't know if that's just a mistake or something like that, but I mean, I said like go back to like talking about working on the leg. I mean, some of them calf crushes on those ladders and chairs. Ooh, they looked horrible.
Yeah, I like the calf crusher. I remember that was pretty much his go-to like finisher for a while, which I liked. I've not seen the calf crusher for a while, but it makes sense for working on that leg. I
just like I think I noticed lately with like the ladder itself is because you can just wedge them in between the ladder and just pull on the leg. But it's just the chair one I like, using like the kind of like the legs of the chair to kind of like dig into your like that area.
Yeah,
I probably would if I had to choose between having a ladder on my leg or like a chair that's digging into my side like on my leg. What would be worse? I'd probably say the chair would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say the ladder was a bit more. It'd be heavier, but it's more bulky, and the rungs are bigger, so you probably have more chance of escaping the ladder. It's a bit more awkward to work around. There's another little bit of awkward positioning as well. Again, working on the leg, where Drew found himself on the ring apron, but too far away from the ring post to do the whole leg slam thing. So he had to shuffle closer. You can see him shuffle closer to the ring post. So, oops.
It's because it's so cluttered in that area, man. There's so much stuff. It's like I'm surprised no one got like proper like hurt by like miscommunication or anything like that. It's like, for example, like what was it? There was a cool spot when he chucked what was it? I just love it because it's really cool. I always love it when someone chucks his chair in your face.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really messed up, but it's just like when his AJ was just about to do a flip outside, we used that as a thing, and it's just like he jumped up and then like he's halfway there, and then it's like that face of going, oh crap, because he's got a chair, and he chucked it in his face, and it was just I don't know if it's messed up. It was glorious. It's just like it's what we would do, wouldn't you? Like I've said it before, it's like someone comes near you and you've got a steel chair, I'm chucking that in your face, mate.
I'd probably try and hit him in the face. If you try to throw it, there might be an opportunity for them to potentially catch it. So try and hit them with the chair as best you can.
We don't do really headshots anymore for obviously good reasons.
No.
But as much as I know it's banned, I do miss kind of chair shots because they always look devastating.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just thought I'd bring it up because they looked really cool. Let's be honest.
And then we had the appearance of Mr. Money in the Bank, The Miz, and his accomplice, and singing partner, I guess. His tag team partner as well, John Morrison, coming down. Was this going to be a official cash-in, or will they get taken out just beforehand? Obviously, we find out later on Raw, which I'll get to in a second, about what actually happened regarding the cash-in. Yes, the briefcase was cashed in. Miz starts to climb, but he takes his sweet time, just enjoying the moment when you're not injured. How are you climbing so slowly? Just, how these ladder matches go. Just get up there as quick as you can and grab the bloody title. It happens.
It's the question that was asked, wasn't it? Like everyone's been asking, kind of like, was it wise to cash in, like in a match like this? Let's be honest.
Well, you didn't have to pin AJ and you didn't have to pin Drew, so it's smart to go for it. especially if you have an accomplice.
True, but then on the flip side, he could have. At some point, if you look at it smartly, you can sit there and say, "Well, Drew's probably going to have a leg injury going into the night after, right?"
Yeah.
And you could always set up that you can attack him from behind or like something, and then you can get the pin that way, or something like that. It's just gone by perfect world and perfect logic, but I don't know. It's got a point. It's like it's one of these things. Like he kind of climbed up really slowly, so it's like that situation where you go, mate, just climb up really fast, like literally go up there and get the title, run as fast as you can and get out there. But
so only like just get up the ladder. If you've got time, you can do a little bit of gloating, but by the time you've got the title, then you can do all the gloating in the world.
Exactly.
But then, of course, Miz and Morrison are completely forgetting about the 10-foot tall bodyguard that is Omos.
The ace in the hole is probably the word I would probably use. He's kind of like insurance policy is definitely a better word. I like that. Insurance policy.
Who's been very quiet in the match. He's actually been like a good kind of guard. Like he's aided AJ Styles by like passing a ladder into the ring, but he hasn't beaten Drew up or anything, which I thought he would do. So he's just there as a presence. I guess to make sure there's no shenanigans from Drew, I guess.
Well, it's a good confidence booster when you've got someone of his size and his stature backing you up.
To us, I thought Omos was going to be... They're going to do like a kind of thing where Omos can just like pretty much just stand there and grab the title, or AJ gets on Omos's shoulders. It's like, that would have been a good spot.
He's tall enough.
Yeah, where AJ can't climb, he's got an injured leg or whatever it is, or he's knocked out, Omos just picks him up on his shoulders and just puts him on top of the ladder.
Would have liked to seen it. It'd be different, got to be honest, but yeah, I think
that would have been a really cool spot. If say Drew's on the ladder, AJ's down, Omos helps AJ up on his shoulders, and then Drew jumps off the ladder and claymores AJ off the top of Omos's shoulders.
That would be actually really cool. Maybe that's a spot for another time, but
that would have been cool. Anyway, so Omos is there to put a stop to the Miz slowly climbing up the ladder. He puts Miz through a table which was previously set up, and probably one of the funniest segments of the night. Morrison comes in with a chair shot to the back to this giant of a man, and the chair is clearly a gimmick. Well, I think it's more gimmick than usual, but the chair is like literally bent in half. This thing, like the amount of impact, and then it's great. It has a close up on Omos's face, going, "The hell was that?"
It's like for him, it'd be like someone tapping him on his shoulder. It was like, what was that ineffective finger on my back? But it's like John Morrison being John Morrison. It was kind of great. It was like that thing, like shit, and then run as fast as he can to get away. But I mean, we obviously got point out some other things, like kind of thing. We forgot to point out that Drew was done this really cool thing where it's like picking up AJ before obviously the Miz cashed in. Like literally was doing like a gorilla press.
Oh yes,
and chucked him through the table on the outside.
That was lovely.
I mean, it's just like it was like everyone was through tables. Drew went through a table. The Miz basically got put through a table. I love the way just like he hugged him. It's like he was carrying him, like unless he was so terrified, he didn't even move. He was just like he picked him up like a baby and then chucked him through a table, or just nicely glided him through a very hurtful table. But after that, it was kind of a situation where the Miz was kind of out of it for most of it after this point, and then it was just basically a race to the top, really. It was like got both Drew going up, then you had, then obviously Drew, and then AJ went up and then took down AJ, and then Drew was born by himself, and then the Miz set up a ladder close next to it, and he's close, and then obviously Drew went down, and obviously AJ was down. You thought the Miz was going to win it. We did have a good way, AJ doing that kind of thing where he leaps onto the ladder,
and that was from like out of nowhere as well, so off camera, so some more good camera work as well. There was a moment as all three of them were kind of on the ladder trying to knock, AJ and Miz were trying to knock Drew off, and I think Miz goes down, Miz down, and then he delivers us is a Glasgow Kiss headbutt, but it's quite a small one. It's usually like a signature. But it's almost like kind of not noticed by most of the commentary team, apart from Samoa Joe, who if it wasn't for the Omos spot, this would be the second funniest thing of the night, where whoever's talking about something or other, Michael Cole or Corey Graves, whoever it may be, but Samoa Joe just blurts out, "Give us a kiss!" And there's kind of like an awkward pause. I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh yeah, there's a headbutt."
Yeah, for me, it's like two mates talking among themselves, and then you forget. And it's basically like, for that feels like when you two of your mates, you go down the pub, two of your mates are talking about something completely random, and you're still watching a match.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you scream out, "That should have been a goal!" And you're like, "Oh right, yeah, okay.
Oh,
we've got.
Why are you so angry?
There's a match. Or it's like, there's a match going on. That's what it feels like. Oh, okay. But yeah, but Samoa has been awesome, got to be honest, for the commentary. He's made it very good.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the standout from... Anyway, but yeah, it ended with, what was it? It was The Miz and AJ was climbing up the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it was going to be them two. But then Drew came along and done the cool spot, as you should, just lets you push them off the ladder.
Yep.
Got to be honest, it was kind of wide for AJ. He didn't land very well from that ladder. I've got to be honest. But if anyone can take it, it's AJ Styles. But, yep, and then, what's he got after that? Took his sweet old time, because obviously he's got sudden the leg injury. Slowly climbed up the ladder, took the title, and is still the WWE champion.
I was going to, as I said before, I was going to mention it. Miz brought up a loophole where John Morrison technically cashed in the briefcase and not The Miz. The Miz didn't hand the referee the briefcase. Even though there was an announcement that Miz is going to cash in and he intended to cash it in, they might do some bullshit heel loophole there. Which I wouldn't mind, to be honest, because I like when the Money in the Bank's constantly in play and you constantly have to think about it. Always think about, what if he cashes in now? Keeping everyone on their toes.
But then it's like it more. I mean, it could work for his heel because he's found a loophole to try and keep it. But basically, he could have waited. I don't know. That kind of feels like a. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know, cheapens maybe, because if you have that, then every loophole, wouldn't it? Like you can sit there and say, well, I have to cash it in. Like if you have like a goon, you've got you can cash it in.
Yeah.
But if you lose it, you can say, well, I didn't technically cash it in.
Well, so if you put the title on the line, say you're the WWE champion, you're in a triple threat or fatal 4-way match, you're not involved in the pin, so you can technically lose a title, but there's that loophole there. It's like, you didn't pin me, I didn't lose my title. That's not the rules.
That's what I mean. It sounds. It's one of these things that sounds like it's different. It's like it's not. It's just messes up the whole rules. It's if you cash in, you fail.
Yeah.
Opportunity gone. But I think it's just because at the moment it's like I wanted the Miz at some point to win the WWE Championship at some point.
Yeah.
Have another run, but not at the moment, man. It's Drew's moment. He needs to have his, he's had a pretty lengthy title one.
Yeah, he had that blip with Orton at Hell in the Cell, which didn't need to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a stat. I don't know, but yeah, it did feel like if it just he won it and then Drew won it back. Just like 2 weeks later, it's like it's one of those title wins. You think, what's the point? So it's like, except for that, obviously Drew's had it since Mania. So technically, if you go by Mania, you could have it for a full year.
Yeah.
So I mean, the question obviously is now. Obviously, we might probably go into a bit more of a when we do our end of the year kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like the rumors are that he's going to go against Lesnar and Keith Lee. I mean, in a triple threat.
Okay.
Apparently, from rumors.
Well, I guess it's slightly different because you've got the inclusion of Keith Lee, but I'd rather have an exhibition of Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee. I'd rather have that. You can still have Brock Lesnar be that exhibition, that marquee gets bums on seats, but he doesn't need to be in the WWE title picture. The same with Goldberg.
Okay, so
Goldberg can be there for an exhibition as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll talk about that when we get to the Reigns bit.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the match that they're gonna have. But so if you don't think it should be that like Lesnar or like Keith Lee, who would you put Drew against then?
It's a good question. I don't see them doing it because of the star power of it, of Drew and Sheamus. obviously they'll probably play into the whole like growing up together in training on the independence, developmental, all their different journeys.
WrestleMania main event now? WrestleMania title match now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I can see it as Royal Rumble feud and then Elimination Chamber feud or Fastlane, whatever that pay-per-view is. I'm trying to think with Drew, because he's pretty much faced everyone, unless they call someone up from NXT or something and really shape it up a little bit. So,
I mean, the only person I can think of that would be a big enough shock that would actually get me excited, just top head. Adam Cole, baby, of course. I forgot it's legal. It's legal. You have to say baby.
You got to say baby after you say Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah, has to be done.
But if we are looking main roster, obviously one thing I'd like to see with WWE, like Roman's doing a much better job now. He's a heel. He's doing some good work. Some say some of his best, but the Universal title, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't feel like a world title. It's kind of like a cursed title. It's just a secondary world title. It doesn't really mean anything, unfortunately. So what I'd like them to do is merge the titles, because they always talked about Drew and Roman Reigns is going to be the big match showdown. It's going to be this generation's feud. It's going to be Reigns and Drew, as it was Shawn and Brett, as it was Austin and The Rock.
Well, it does feel earned. I think this is the first time in a very long time that actually they big up a big, like, big titans or like a big, like, stars facing off against each other, and it doesn't feel like it's forced. It actually feels actual organic for a change. So, but yeah, I mean, every era needs it, and for what, as much as they really wanted to do the John Cena Randy Orton thing, where that's the feud of the era. It's not. They try, but it's not. So this could maybe be a feud of this era. Like, this could be like defining feud. But I mean, a title versus title match, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, gotta be honest. But again, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could think of is I would like to see maybe like one title. I don't think a title versus title would be what I would want to see. But then I get it. But Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre is a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
So any way to make that possible, I'm up for it. But maybe they might be holding it off until there's fans, because let's be honest, by the time WrestleMania comes along, the chances of having fans are probably better, but still not enough to make it a great moment. So maybe that's a WrestleMania 2038 maybe feud or 7, type thing next year.
Another possibility, when we discussed this off a podcast a couple of days ago, if they did it right, I'm not quite sure what the situation is with him, with Andrade, because they could tie into when Drew won the NXT title. This is meant to be his whole big comeback. This was the start of his journey. He's going to have a lengthy NXT title run, go up to the main roster, win the main title. However, he suffered an injury, and there was a blip, and that meant Andrade Cien Almas, and that made Andre a star as well at that time. So reliving that, was it War Games? I think it was the first War Games or second War Games that the title change took place. If they wanted to redo something like that.
I appreciate the consistency, but unfortunately, as we know, WWE, we know Vince doesn't watch NXT. Yep. So we wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So if he doesn't know anything about that, then he won't do it. It makes sense from a fan standpoint. It makes perfect sense, because we know that kind of story would be interesting, and that match was awesome. So imagine having that in a main event. Yeah, it does. It is. I would like to watch that, but I think the way they're going to go, it's going to be some like marquee name. It's going to be Lesnar or something. Or I mean, a Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre match is an interesting match to me. Yeah,
and then they wasted it on Raw. That was the thing.
Yeah, that's what they do, isn't it? But I mean, I think the idea is like Keith Lee is such a box office star that they've got there, that they could do something with him. I could see him win the title, and he can have his moment. Yeah, and then maybe like 2021 might be his year, because he's got that kind of charisma.
Drew has held the title for so long, then he starts to get a little bit paranoid. He's beaten everyone, hasn't beaten Keith Lee yet. Keith Lee is now in a spot he was last year. He can see where it's going, and Drew doesn't want that to happen. He's the WWE champion, and he's meant to hold that title for a long, long time. and Keith Lee was a friend, now becomes a threat. And so with that build up, like falling out with Sheamus, he loses a long-time friend there. He's friends with Keith Lee. The only thing he cares about is the title, so we could see the change of... I prefer a heel champion anyway, because that gives the face something to try and achieve, something to chase. There's always got to be something to chase. Everyone's got everything. If everyone's a face champion, there's nothing to chase.
Well, no, it's the old Austin thing, isn't it? It's the reason why there was sort of title change during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
When Austin McMahon, because Austin was better when he was chasing the title than he ever was having it.
Yeah.
So everyone wants that like dastardly heel to get his comeuppance.
Yes.
And have that title. So I mean, yeah, I could see that. I just the idea of yet again we've got to have a Brock's got to be in the title match. It just isn't appealing to me. Next we go into obviously the only women's kind of singles championship that's being defended on the show. That's kind of a nice change when they don't put both of them; they put just one. Obviously we got the Sasha Banks that obviously won the championship against Bayley, going against Carmella. That's obviously returned as, I don't know what really was a character, but basically she's that kind of spoiled, kind of, I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use the word I want to use, but it's just basically she's one of the people that bitch. No, but basically it's like that's what it comes across to me. It's like she's basically like she thinks she's basically got all the money, all the champagne, all the glamour up her own ass. Like kind of works for a couch.
She's got her own sommelier as well in Reginald Thomas. Good old Reggie getting beaten up.
Hey, it's getting TV time. It's getting on telly.
Yeah.
So
You're drinking wine, you're getting beaten up. Like you get to drink, you get paid for it. There we go.
Exactly. But yeah, so obviously she returned. There was a video vignettes that someone looking inside looking at like a mirror or something in like a makeup mirror.
Yep.
Thing like in a dressing room, and we kind of didn't care, but like anything with any mystery, even if it's not great, we're still kind of going, ooh, who could it be?
Yeah.
And because like Carmella, and it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about Carmella, because she's kind of been drifting for the last couple of, ever since the kind of R-Truth stuff, when she was hanging around with R-Truth. She's kind of been drifting for the last couple of years, like year or so. And then she's come back with a bang and kind of went for the champion right off the bat. Yeah,
without kind of qualifying, really. I guess the only way you can really get a title shot is to piss off the champion. Basically the Dolph Ziggler way. It's like, please give me a title shot, please. And then, no, I'll just beat you up then. Just really piss you off.
Well, it's the best way to do it, isn't it? It's like if you want to get people to, don't do it the proper way, just attack them from behind. Eventually they'll just get so pissed off to give you the title shots.
Yeah. Carmella was sort of like an afterthought, especially in that build up towards Survivor Series with Sasha and Asuka. They didn't really have too much build with it, but Sasha was just getting beaten up by Carmella. It's like, oh, I'll deal with you afterwards. And she could have factored into that match perhaps. They had, I don't know why, but it's the same with Sasha and Bayley as well. Why did they put that match that you're building towards, all that hype, and then bung it on SmackDown the week before the pay-per-view? Why would you do that?
I've got to be honest. I was kind of worried because I think it was I was on when they announced that this match was like a SmackDown is going on SmackDown. There was kind of worry on Twitter that they're like, oh god, they're not going to let it drop the title, are they? No, because obviously in that New Year's Dash or Smash, I think it's called, on AEW, Snoop Dogg is going to be hosting one of the shows. Okay. And it's like, and people are worried that because WWE aren't petty, are they, Josh? No, they're not petty at all. No. So people were kind of worried that they were going to do that situation where Snoop Dogg, cousin of Sasha Banks. Oh, we're going to punish her, so we're going to let her drop the title. That normally you would say, oh, that's ridiculous, but it's WWE. They are petty.
Yeah, and I saw that some people were saying that, if that happens, Sasha Banks is going to go to AEW. It's like, no, that's not going to happen.
I mean, that's done, but but
they put the title on her and then go just like that. No, that's not happening.
No, but I was concerned it was going to be that kind of thing where she drops it and then wins it back straight away, but it's like because it's like pettiness. But I just thought I'd bring up, but yeah, the kind of build up is basically been Carmella just attacking from behind her. But something to do with the champagne bottles on the back that I don't care what anyone says in wrestling, that it's got to hurt, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's sugar glass, but it's more impactful, surely, to smack them on the back of the head or neck rather than just your back. Surely you smash it over the head, like Jericho, CM Punk, smash the bottle over your head. That looks more vicious.
Yeah, but I guess it's like working on the backs, and it could obviously, funny enough, in this match, he kind of worked on it quite nicely for the match. But yeah, I think going for this match, it just reminded me how good Carmella is.
Especially when she was the SmackDown champion. She just trash talked all the time. She made the rest holds entertaining. So here we go, here's a rest hold for the sake of a rest hold. But no, she was talking smack all the time. And,
I remember hating it.
Some great, yeah. But it was effective. It was good heel heat. It wasn't go away. It was really effective stuff. Really annoying. Bratish fitted her character nicely. She had a kind of Jay White-esque start to begin with, like sliding out the ring. It's like, no, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do what I want.
Makes sense. I mean, to be fair, it's like, especially when you've got what was it? Reginald is his name. Like
Reginald Thomas.
He's like a. Oh god, that's such a cool name. Rolls off the tongue nicely.
Sommelier.
Like, imagine doing just literally saying Reginald, but say it in kind of like the posh kind of name.
Reginald
and kind
Thomas.
of roll off the tongue.
Mm.
Yes, like you said, proper posh. Like it sounds like a cool name. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just showing. But anyway, yeah. But
push Reginald Thomas.
Distraction, yeah, against it. But
get him a good pop like he does when he pops open the champagne.
Exactly. And to be fair, like the most matches, like kind of like that kind of stuff, and obviously she was working on the back. But I think the best, like kind of, that cool moment, and obviously I think Sasha was like done this really cool, like arm drag from the top, like when she was on the apron. That's kind of nice from Sasha did. Mm-hmm. But again, it was more about how many times did Reginald have to catch Carmella?
Yeah, it was a fantastic catch as well. She got flung off the apron, launched to the outside, and very nearly landed on the floor. Reginald had to scoop her up, like literally inches away from the floor, picking her up. It's like brilliant. And as Corey Graves says, "Oh, great catch, Reginald, great catch." And it was, to be fair, it was a very good catch.
And I kind of like the way she used that as like a they helped each other. Like I think it's like Sasha tried to go for him, but then I think Carmella kind of got like leg scissors, and then kind of him helping out did like a Hurricanrana onto the steps, and it was kind of cool. It looked really cool. But I gotta be honest, I think it was like there was this, I can't remember what spot. It was this good bit where I think it was like Carmella was got like Sasha was trying to duck a tilt-a-whirl. Yeah. But then it's like was it Carmella kind of like countered it and hit like a face buster.
That was lovely.
It just like I like moves like the bit was like you hit a move out of nowhere, like you think it's going to be one move and then all of a sudden boom hits that. Because a face buster is that kind of move you can kind of hit out of nowhere. They're
really selling that on commentary as well. I mean later on in the match they were mentioning that how much that face buster has affected Sasha, even though it didn't look like it affected her too much, just kind of moving on, but it did look very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I can name so many really good spots now. It's like, again, don't want to that person, but it's just so many good ones. You had a bit where I think it was Carmella tried to do a Hurricanrana, and obviously then Banch kind of counted it into like a sunset flip. They look really cool.
Yeah. We had the Eddie Guerrero tribute moments. We had the Three Amigos, the Frog Splash. I think it was Carmella. She was like caught up in the corner and then just started delivering elbows, like backwards elbows towards Sasha, which looked really good. That looked brutal. That's a good vicious way of escaping. There was a hell of a lot of like roll up attempts, if I remember as well.
Oh, do you mean that bit? Was a bit like, I think like it's like you do. It's kind of like a statement when you try and do like good matches. But you always have that bit where it's like pin after pin after pin type situation. I think there was a cool bit when I think like Carmella, what was it? I think Finger went for the jackknife like pin type situation. But then kind of, Carmella countered it into that colder silence, like finisher.
To basically choke out or apply pressure to the neck of Sasha. That looks good as well, the code of silence.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the counters. Again, it's another one of those, like, similar to, like, maybe when Sasha went against Asuka and all others. It's like, it's just, I always think, like, good counters into other moves, a good transition into other moves. It just is really good in this match. But yeah, I think with that, when it comes to the pin, it was just like it had that bit where it's like, you know, pin after pin, and then it has that bit where it's like they're both locking up back to back, trying to who's going to get the pin, basically, type situation. But again, was it? The other bit was it? We're picking up with Reginald, I think, caught her again, or like, you know, I think was it Carmella was in a bank statement? I mean, and kind of basically he I like the camera angle, camera angle you're looking at, going,
off
yeah,
camera.
Wait for
Here
it.
he comes.
Wait for it. He's gonna do it, and he does it, and then obviously gets a meteor for his troubles from.
Followed by 2 super kicks from Carmella.
Well, what was the thing? I forgot to mention. There's a bit where she got a super kick later on, like early on in the match, where like on the apron, which like super. It was, I think, or was it Sasha Banks was like laying on the apron, or like laying on there, and she kind of like super kicked to the face. It was kind of cool. But yeah, it's like 2 super kicks, trying to get the pin, but then again it was like that transition into the bank statement again. I think she's trying to go for another one, but then kind of like went into and then going to counter into the bank statement, but she like put so much torque on it. It
was fantastic. It was a facebuster, I think, attempt again. Countered into that back statement, but she properly wrenched it back. It looked devastating. And you thought when you really wrench it back like that, that's the finisher. You're not getting out of that. That's painful.
You're not getting
That's
out
a
of that.
pissed off Sasha Banks. You pissed the boss off. It's boss time now. Apply.
Yeah.
Break the back.
You just don't say that, Mark. Just don't say what Marco Cole does. Don't say it's boss time. It's like, it makes me cringe every time he says that.
On the plus side, we don't have to hear it's the big dog anymore.
Thank God. But anyway, but yes, it ended a really good match. Again, is for me this is the kind of match that made you think, oh, so this is the Carmella we've been waiting for. We were waiting for since she obviously had that first title run. Like she was really good. We all think she's all mouth, but she's definitely proves it in the ring. I've shown I think she proved it against was it Charlotte many years ago, and now she's gone against Sasha and done really well. But I mean, it's just the only problem is now is like it's going to be like what WWE always do. It's like they come back, their first feud is against the champion, they lose, and then they just hover around and do whatever.
Well, they did that with AEW as well. They did that with Brody Lee. They did that with Brian Cage, but they sent them off in little factions. They figure out how to make it work. Here, I don't know what they do. She'll probably just end up in a tag team with someone, I guess.
I don't know, or just, go against someone like, I don't know, like, not Italian, Naomi or something, and then just have a feud with her for a bit. That's good, but again, their women's division is a bit like most. I don't say it's bare, it only has like 2 or 3 kind of.
In terms of like roster, it's not bare, but in terms of credible challengers, it's very thin, much like, and that fits in nicely to the next match as well, the tag team division. What the hell happened to the tag team division? We've said it before, said it again so many times in the podcast, that you've got the best, you have pretty much the best roster on the planet, and you don't have a good tag team division. That's saying something. That's worrying.
I know, but yeah, that's maybe we'll talk about the match of tag team, and we'll probably bring up the division. But yes, obviously next match we're gonna talk about is obviously the Raw Tag Team Championship match between the New Day going against the Hurt Business. And again, it's like one of these things that build-up's been weird for this one. Didn't they? If I remember, they didn't have like some sort of like thing where I think like there was a botch, like between like I think it was like the New Day again, the Hurt Business or something, and I think it's like a referee botch or something, and they had to restart the match.
I don't recall.
Really strange. I remember seeing it on.
Although, but bear in mind, like some of the episodes of Raw pretty much like blow into one. Sometimes, so the same matches or storylines with very little development. Raw is still a chore at the moment. The only thing I really like tuning into is the Fiend Orton storyline. This match, Hurt Business, I believe they won a tag team match, beating the New Day in a non-title match, hence getting a title shot. It makes sense. For the Hurt Business, I mean, it's establishing that kind of new tag team. They're part of a faction. They can do the Freebird rule if they want. You had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. It's nice to see Shelton in the ring. We haven't seen him say much or do much.
No, it's just sort of been there, kind of. It's all been Bobby and maybe Alexander, maybe.
Yeah, Shelton's just been there at the moment. He's the kind of weakest link, I guess. Which they sort of interesting like played up to with at the end of the match. It looks like Shelton is gonna put the finishing move on Kofi, but then Cedric Alexander tags himself in, which Shelton is confused by. But then he's just won the tag team title, so he's like, okay, yay, we're the champions. So there's a little bit of division in the Hurt Business, or a bit of tension in the Hurt Business, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, well, they did bring it up at the start, like with this, like apparently, like Cedric Alexander kind of hijacked the Instagram or whatever, and he was kind of explaining why he joined, and it's like the same. It's nothing special. It's like, why would you join something? It's like any organisation. By myself, I was winning. I was losing. Join Hurt Business. I'm winning. It's nothing crazy, but it's like they kind of set up that, that it's like anything I've always promised. Like, there's got to be a reason to turn heel, and it's got to be obviously show that it's benefiting him. And with this kind of stuff, I like this kind of stuff where it's when he was a face, he kept losing, but when he's a heel, he keeps winning. So it kind of justifies his heel turn. I like those kind of heel turns. It's like it. I like character heel turns, but I also like just people turning heel because they want to win.
What they might do as well, going back to the Shelton Benjamin blind tag situation, do they turn like Shelton face? I mean, potentially. There was a really nice touching tribute, and I think this is the most we've ever heard from Shelton Benjamin in a while. He was talking about dedicating his championship to Shad, who passed away this year. It was a really lovely tribute. So maybe we see that side of Shad a little bit more. So instead of dedicating the title to the Hurt Business, he's dedicating it to other people, and not focusing on the group, which may, I don't know, piss the group off. Without going to. Don't have to play too much into, yes, Shad was mentioned, but don't include that in storyline. But
yeah, so when it comes to that though, it's like, again, weird ending. Was like an interesting ending, but when it comes to the match, again, it's one of those matches you think will have it. It's got nothing building up to it, but again, it's like the match. Again, this is pretty decent.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think the New Day were calling themselves like Big Match New Day. That's kind of now pointless because they lost. So. There goes that nickname. So, but yeah, obviously New Day, and I like the bit right at the start, which is basically like Alexander started the match, and it was just New Day were just pummeling him. His thing with like what was it? He had like super kicks. He had a super kick to him. He had that kind of like a nice little like leg drop. It was like in and out tags and these big moves on Alexander. It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, there's great teamwork and communication from Woods and Kofi. Just isolating Cedric, showing their experience. Obviously, New Day have been a tag team for, was it how long now? 5, 6 years? 7 years, maybe?
Something like that. I can't believe it. It's just like, it's an amazing run, especially for a tag team in WWE, just to be kind of together. That's especially with Vince hates tag teams. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're showing they're the more experienced team, and that's why they're the champions as well. Shelton and Cedric, they're great athletes, but they're still a newish team. They haven't got that much experience working together or tagging together. So New Day makes sense for them to have the upper hand. Very fast-paced stuff, very frantic.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we saw a bit of this kind of like arrogance of New Day type thing when kind of went to Street Profits, the last pay-per-view. Kind of like their overconfidence. I don't know if that, it's like weird. It's like they're supposed to be faces, but it looks like they're like maybe slowly turning heel, maybe. Because it's like... I think like I don't know. It's just like the kind of arrogance, It seems like they're getting too overconfident. I've gauged from it. So it's like maybe it's a situation where they obviously I think they lost to Street Profits. Now they've lost the tag titles. I mean, obviously, let's be honest. The New Day is very good at being relevant, but let's be honest, they need to mix it up a little bit, maybe. So I don't know if they're teasing a New Day heel turn.
Yeah, the heel turn might be. The heel turn might be interesting, especially if they're breaking away, because they obviously want to give Big E some kind of singles push. As Paul Heyman pointed out, you want to cement your own legacy. yeah, you've had some great years like with the New Day, but that's going to pale in comparison to what you are going to achieve. Look at Roman Reigns. When was the last time you looked at him and thought of the Shield? Which is a very good point.
It's a great comment. I gotta be honest, but I said Paul Heyman's been on it when it comes to those talking smack promos, man.
Which leads into like if Big E, say he wins the title, he's one of the favourites to win the Rumble or whatever it may be, and Big E's been watching what New Day's doing. New Day have been a little bit kind of tweenerish, a tad heelish, and then Big E decides to like step away like completely. You know, it's like, I still love you, but I've got to focus on what I'm doing. I don't agree with what you're doing. That kind of goes against our mantra. So I'm just going to carve my own path. You could,
to be fair, it's like they are kind of pushing Big E quite nicely. I've got to be honest. I mean, I keep thinking, obviously, when we get up to I actually do think he's a perfect opponent to take that title off Roman Reigns, but that's just me. But. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that idea, but I also like the idea of like, you know, the New Day turning heel and like doing just despicable things, and then like in the Royal Rumble again, like Big E, instead of like saying "go my own way," he kind of bumps into them and just looks disgusted at them, kind of thing. Like, what have you become? Like, you know, he's left, and now look at you, what you've become, kind of thing. That. Either way, it makes Big E look good. So, as I said, the tag division, like, who are they going to face next? Who? Literally, that is it. Who is it? Like, again, no tag division. I can't think of any tag teams.
I generally can't think of anyone.
That could explain why they've put Jeff and Matt Riddle together.
Yeah, well, they've been feuding with the Hurt Business, but there's some rumours that Riddle's going to face Lashley at the Royal Rumble for the US title.
I guess not really what I would. But actually, it might work. So both got MMA background, so maybe they can make that work.
Well, Bobby Lashley has made Jeff Hardy tap out. I think 2 or 3 times now. So,
okay.
With his like title challenge, like he's not getting one. He's just constantly lost. I know he's a fan favourite, but you keep losing, you're not getting your title shot.
No, well. Wrestling logic dictates if you lose, you don't get titles. It's just basic logic. But yeah, I mean, again, it's like one of these matches is like it just has some cool moments. Again, that thing at the end, it puts some intrigue, maybe some early signs of dissension in Hurt Business. Them having all the gold, kind of MVP one got a gold medal in something, so he's technically got gold. Remember seeing a picture. I can't remember what it is for, but so it's. To have like a team like that having all the gold, it makes sense because, you know, it's when you've got a 4-man group, it always gets to a point where most of them have to have gold.
Absolutely.
So again, it works. I mean, Hurt Business have been kind of very good. I've got to be honest this year. It's one of those stables that you thought would just be like a footnote, but it's actually been quite mildly good. It's been booked kind of under the radar, and it's been consistently good in some ways.
Yeah. Slowly warming to the Hurt Business. For sure, like when it first started off, I wasn't a fan, but you know they look like a faction now, like a team. Even though they are wearing my signature black suit with gold tie, which I wear for one of my characters in the Next Global Crisis superheroine web series. Go and check that out. Yeah, warming to them. Yeah, I don't see. I hope just MVP sticks to just the manager kind of role and the mouthpiece, the kind of leader, but I don't want him to be WWE champion. I don't see him going for the gold.
Well, it's like anything else. Like they found their niche. You know, he's good at being a manager. He can talk, so let him do that. You've got Bobby Lashley was all over the place, but now he's got purpose. Alexander is probably the best he's been probably since Cruiserweight, like when he won the Cruiserweight title. And obviously, Shelton Benjamin's been running about the same, which has been hanging around, kind of just being there. So altogether, it just made them more interesting and more, you know. This is why you need factions in WWE sometimes, or in wrestling in general, because sometimes having factions together just makes more characters more interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's good. I like Her Business. I like that they've found something that works, and WWE. That's very hard to come by, so good for them.
It's good. Yeah, it's early days yet. We'll see how it goes.
Well, all I'm saying is I would love to see I've got a feeling they're teasing a New Day heel turn.
Yep.
It looks like it. Like ever since they've become more arrogant, they've lost. So wrestling logic dictates that there's a heel run in their future. I think. After we talked again, I probably talked about that way longer than we should, but we talk about everything. It's great. So anyway, one tag team match, title match, to another. Well, we've got the women's tag team championship match with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax going against Asuka, and it was supposed to be Lana, but she got taken out on the Go Home show, thanks to Nia Jax being really horrible human being, and
Shayna Baszler as well. Just twisting that leg, it looked brutal in the promo build up. It looked very effective. Made you feel sorry for Lana. Looked like Jax and Shayna were the biggest bullies. You wanted people to kick the crap out of them. You had a little bit earlier on in the night where Asuka's warming up for the match, and currently Billie Kay is doing the whole. Well, it's evident that creative have no idea what to do with her at the moment because they split up her and Peyton Royce up for no reason. So she's just handing out CVs of what she can do and why she'd make a good tag team partner. Just trying to find who to team with.
I've got to be honest though, as much as it kind of does suck, it was kind of funny. I think it's because Asuka's reaction to it was.
Yeah, she pulls it off. Yeah, she's very funny. She's very talented. As is Peyton Royce. Yeah,
that's what. Put them back together.
But just put them back together.
Yeah. Hashtag, return of the Iconics. Come on, people. Yeah. It's like you can blatantly see that they're both miserable apart. You can see impact was in Peyton Royce's eyes.
Yeah, every time I see Peyton Royce do an interview with like Lacey Evans, whoever she partners with, there's always a bit of like, I miss Billie Kay. Why am I doing?
Well, and then you got it's just like just put us back together. It's like you don't have to split us up if you want to push one of us. It just doesn't make any sense. But you didn't break up the New Day when Kofi was doing his push.
No,
first time. So I don't get it. But anyway, again, it kind of. But yeah, so obviously they said she's found someone, and obviously, so we were kind of when you always got a mystery partner, it's like anything, you're always intrigued to see who it is. From talk online, it was obvious only one person that everyone was predicting who it would be.
Yep.
And they were 100% right. It was returning Charlotte Flair returned after I think was it Nia Jax that took her out in storyline wise. I think that's why she was.
I can't remember. I thought she just disappeared for some reason. I don't know why. When did she? She was an NXT champion. Didn't she disappear after Takeover? I thought in your house. Is that when she disappeared? I think that was
something like that. I think she's doing more ones. I think she's doing more, but
okay.
I think it makes sense why when she returned, it's like they were kind of Nia Jax was looking a bit stunned. So I'm assuming that it was Nia Jax who took her out. That's ironic, I guess. but yeah, so it's Charlotte. So it looks like we had like what I kind of like is obviously you got Asuka and Charlotte. That's like a team. It's interesting. So. But yeah, it was basically, and then through majority of the match, it was basically, obviously you got Baszler and Jax working on Asuka's arm kind of thing. That I guess makes sense because of the finisher.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing about this match is it didn't have a lot of those like big, like, high, big, like, had this, and this going. It's kind of more you just, for me, it was like, you knew if Charlotte, now Charlotte's in the match. You're only waiting for a matter of time for them to win the match when you think about it. Yeah.
You're waiting for as soon as she gets in the ring, do the chops as well. You're waiting for the woo thing.
Artificial woos, though, that still doesn't work.
The artificial woos. And we get the reminder, oh, by the way, Charlotte Flair is Ric Flair's daughter. So we see Ric Flair backstage.
I mean, again, that's cool and all, but come on, man. It's like... that ship has, as they said, has sailed. Haven't they done that before? But I don't know. It's not a big deal. But we know, it's a nice feeling. But anyway, so again, it was cool. We had this bit when Asuka was the usual thing where Asuka was getting beaten up most of the match, and then obviously trying to go for the hot tag to kind of Charlotte. But obviously, I think she either got the tag or Charlotte was able to thwart kind of Baszler trying to stop her from getting the tag. And then it was just basically Charlotte doing what Charlotte does, you know? Kind of just doing chops. The
chops, she does the moonsault to the outside.
Yep, and obviously you got the big boot and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You had that bit where, what was it? With a bit with a blind tag, where obviously I think, was it Flair? We got a Samoan drop by Nia Jax, and obviously you had Asuka going from the top that looked really cool. But yeah, again, it was. I wouldn't say it's the weakest of the card of the show, because that's kind of unfair. But it's like it did feel a bit like the only thing that was kind of hooking you to this match, for me personally, was who the mystery partner was. So after that, it was kind of just going with the motions, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was that. Who was it going to be? But all the rumours online, on speculation, you think, okay, it can't really be anyone else unless Asuka was going to substitute her, like her own space, and give the Riot Squad a chance to win the title, because they've been winning. You know, they're the only credible, I guess, tag team, the women's tag team, and they've been winning. They've been getting the results, but they're on SmackDown, aren't they? That's the point. I keep forgetting who's on SmackDown, who's on Raw.
No, but as we probably forget, we forget now. It's like you can defend the women's championship on either show, can't you?
That's true. That's very true.
We keep forgetting about that, because it's like, oh yeah, it's like it's the old days where you can defend it on all shows. Like, they really should do it in NXT more as well. Just point out, they really should defend it on NXT more.
Yeah,
especially with that women's division. Just saying.
Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, tag team champions, or Candice LeRae and
Indy Hartwell.
That's the one. I'm usually the one that's good with names.
No. I guess this is what happens when you watch it weekly.
Yeah,
and I do a weekly podcast on it, and my mission in every podcast is to make sure I get every name right. I fail, but it's still an honourable challenge that I keep trying every time. So
I also liked in this match, like the potential like face-offs, so matches between, it was on Raw, which they wasted, Shayna and Asuka, and then
a WrestleMania main event.
Yep, then a potential one we had Shayna Baszler and Charlotte.
But basically anything with Shayna Baszler and anyone.
Everything Shayna Baszler, you could bung these three in the triple threat. I'd be up for that. Nia Jax, whatever. I don't care. You can do whatever.
Sorry, Nia. Sorry, Nia. I don't want to jump on that bandwagon, but I think it's just I don't know. It's just not a fan, and it's not because of the whole. She's injury prone or she injures people.
That is a factor, to be fair.
But it's just her style doesn't really work for me.
No.
But again, if people do, that's cool. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I don't want to go. It's because she's injures people, because that's kind of very. There's more to it. It's just her character doesn't really, like her size. I don't know. Just the way she does moveset just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is.
You think she'd be more of have a monster moveset? Yeah,
kind of like doing that the whole like, I don't know. Just the more like when you're kind of big, you kind of do like the big. You can do the simple moves like the punches or the leg drops or stuff like that. But then the selling makes it like, oh my god, they must be devastating because of the size. But I don't know. It just doesn't. And I think it's like everything. Like at the last pay per view, it's like the way she was like her selling's not great either. That kind of bothers me a little bit. I think it was like last pay per view.
I thought it was like quite the opposite, where she's like overselling almost. For someone of, as you said, someone of her stature, being hit by someone like significantly smaller, like a leg kick or whatever, she's selling it like she's torn a hamstring or something. If it's like a leg kick, sort of overselling.
That makes sense, but I mean, I don't know. I think that spot last Survivor Series a bit when it's like sort of like someone put her on the steps, and then all of a sudden, just 2 seconds later, she's like, oh my god, she's like gets straight back up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's like it might be the selling. Maybe it's just she's not selling the way some of her size should be selling. Maybe that's why it doesn't feel, because obviously maybe that's what makes it a bit off-putting. Maybe. Because it's got to be more of a reason than just thinking, oh, she's injury prone, like she injures people. So it can't be that, because I wasn't a kind of huge fan of the kind of watch a character anyway before that anyway. So I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. But it's fine. But But again, it's obviously kind of wrap up the match. It kind of ended with, obviously, it was a battle between like Shayna Baszler and Charlotte. We had both gone for their move sets, and then obviously you had the bit where I think she was going to go for the caribou. I'm going to call it the clutch because I can't pronounce the first one. And just then she rolled out of the way. Obviously Flair rolled out of the way, and then boom, hit the natural selection out of nowhere. And then got the 3, and I think she's won she's now the Triple Crown champion.
Yeah, she's a Grand Slam champion now.
That's it's again, some people that didn't like Flair in the first place of always winning titles. It's going to be like, ugh. But
so great, she comes in first match, wins the title.
yeah, I mean, normally you'd be like, oh god, but then to be fair, like, what else can you do with that tag division? Maybe it needs a bit of Charlotte Flair. You know,
if she had the right partner, and also if she remained, because Charlotte does all her best work when she's a heel.
It makes sense. I mean, to be fair, it could be a situation where obviously now she's teaming with the Raw Women's Champion. It's going to be a situation where she's going to turn on her eventually, right?
I thought it'd be like that night, perhaps like they're in the position of about to win, then just natural selection to Asuka. It's 2-on-1. Charlotte doesn't want the tag team championship. She wants the Raw Women's Championship. That's why she's on Raw. She does things her own way. Yeah.
Maybe this is a setup for WrestleMania.
Charlotte and Asuka again.
Why not? I mean, gotta be honest, it's like, Asuka's been on it. They've actually let her do her thing this year.
Yeah.
And it's probably her best year she's had, like in general, like in the company.
Yeah.
In WWE, I mean, because obviously NXT, that run is just, we always treat that separately anyway. But I think it seems like it because it's setting up as the obvious kind of portrayal kind of storyline, especially when it's Charlotte, as you said, best as a heel. So it makes sense. Obviously I'd rather have Baszler versus Asuka. Yeah, but I just want that match. Just come on. I mean, you set it up at Elimination Chamber. It's like the whole couple of minutes of just like Baszler taunting Asuka and Asuka going nuts. That's enough. That's a match. It should happen.
Make it a submission match.
It's like it writes itself, people. Come on. Yeah. You got Shayna Baszler in that division, and you haven't. Yeah, she's got a tag division. That's cool. Now she's not a champion, but she needs a singles push, like a proper strong push.
Yeah.
You've got a legit MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Like that kind of. I mean, you could book her as this monster. It's great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they're not doing anything with her, but I don't know if it's just Vince doesn't like her.
And that's a point as well with Shayna. We've not heard from Jessamine Duke or Marina Shafir for a long time.
Well, they kind of disappeared. I mean, it did turn up on the Raw Underground stuff.
Oh yeah, Raw Underground, that happened.
Yeah, that's if there was a list of like worst things in 2020. But
some of those things that okay, we'll see where this goes. Okay, it might have some potential. Oh wait, no, this is awful.
Yeah, realise it's absolutely rubbish. Yeah, but yeah, they haven't turned up on that, and then they haven't been around. Yeah, I mean, I personally would have liked. It wouldn't be the worst idea to bring them up, and then Shayna can have this kind of group. Had that group she had in NXT in WWE, because she kind of needs it, and it kind of worked in that like latter half of her second reign of her title with them as their like backup. It works, but I don't know. I just. Asuka, it's just again. Asuka's had a feuders. He's had Sasha Banks. He's had Bailey. I think that, and then after that, it's kind of been. He had late. I think last year was it? Oh, is it Selena Vega?
Selena Vega.
But the first match in like years, and then she gets fired. So let's be honest.
Because of Twitch.
Yeah. And then obviously now the thing with Lana, she was teaming with Lana, and then obviously now Lana's out. I don't know why. It seems kind of counterproductive though. It's like done all that build to like have finally get a comeuppance on Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler, and then you do an injury storyline so she doesn't get her revenge. It was set up perfectly for the perfect revenge, take the titles for them. But I got to be honest, this is kind of better anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Would you rather have it? Would you rather have a sort of like a kind of bet? Was it Lana and Asuka win the tag team titles, or would you rather have a Charlotte and Asuka win the titles and have a potential that Charlotte's going to turn and Asuka and we can have a rematch at WrestleMania for the title? What's more interesting?
I'd have the latter, I think. Yeah. Even though there's a air of predictability about it, that is a very good team together. Charlotte and Asuka, two great individuals, and then working together as a team. That's going to take some stopping.
I think it's just got potential. Everyone likes a good betrayal, and if anyone's good at capitalising on it, it's Charlotte Flair. So, not saying it, obviously another main event with Charlotte in the title picture again, but why not?
Doesn't have to win it.
Well, she will, of course, but
yes, but she doesn't have to.
I know, but because they were going to push her as because obviously when Becky Lynch went, obviously to have her kid, Charlotte was supposed to be the one they were going to push, and then she got injured, so they've kind of been coasting. So now she's back. It's obvious they're probably going to reset that, and 2021 is going to be the year of Charlotte. If I was making predictions.
Speaking of predictions, not predictions, rather than spoilers, especially going back to what Paul Heyman was saying earlier, someone's going to get hurt. A lot of people got hurt in this next match.
Yes.
For the Universal title, our second TLC match of the night between Roman Reigns, accompanied to the ring by Paul Heyman, and sort of accompanied to the ring as well by Jey Uso, who was in and out of the match, against Kevin Owens. I gotta be honest, we brought it up earlier in the podcast. Paul Heyman's on fire. It's like them talking smack stuff they've been doing lately, with Paul Heyman just basically talking to people, properly bigging them up, but then kind of properly hyping them up. Did you see the KO one? I think I did. I must. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's basically one when he's sitting there saying, you there's a reason why you have no tag team partners. I know you. I've liked you ever since the days of ROH. Yeah. And it's like he's sitting there saying, you're at this tail end of your career. You're at this tailspin. You're either gonna do what most people do and kind of coast and just go with it, or you're going to go. You need to up your game and go back to the top. And it's just it's kind of that story where it's this is kind of a make or break for Kevin Owens, because to be honest, he has been coasting for the last year or two.
Yeah, he came out of the blue brand as well. Who was going to? We were asking that question before. Who goes against Roman Reigns next? And we didn't know. And that was answered pretty much that next week when Kevin Owens attacked Jey Uso, delivered a message to Reigns saying that Roman Reigns was a coward. Let's his family do all his dirty work for him, leading to Roman Reigns ordering his cousin to do exactly as Kevin Owens said he was doing, thus proving that Roman Reigns is a massive hypocrite. Jay's constantly ambushing Kevin Owens. At one point, Roman Reigns tells him to end him, and it kind of gets to the point of you're gonna have to kill me. So you're gonna have to kill me to put me down. Then on the go home, they pile Kevin Owens under tables, ladders, and chairs. It's a fantastic image, which I thought they left on, but I didn't realize that he got up afterwards from the wreckage to sit down casually on the chair. It's yep, you're gonna have to kill me. All right, let's see how this goes. Let's see how dark this one gets.
And it pretty much what it set up, because the entire match was pretty much like that.
Anyway, so this match kicks off with Kevin Owens just retaliating after everything that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, Paul Heyman have put him through. He attacks from straight out of the blocks, cannonball, hitting him with strikes. Roman Reigns is outside the ring, throwing onto the barricade, a cannonball onto the barricade, hits him with a frog splash on the outside, scurries Paul Heyman away, and we have the first appearance of Jey Uso. And there's a great bit of invention here to use the chair to block the incoming super kick. Most times someone holds a chair to their face, they are on the receiving end, they get a kick to the face along with a chair, but he blocks it, hitting him with the chair to the leg, which takes out one of Uso's weapons, the super kicks, which, as I pointed out in the my latest What Culture article, is one of the most overused, if not the most overused wrestling move in the wrestling industry today. Doesn't mean it's a bad move, doesn't mean I don't enjoy them, but they're in pretty much every match. and it's utilised by pretty much everyone.
Anyone that's kind of like does high flying stuff, Jesus, a super kick is kind of their move now. So
Uso's now down on the outside. Roman Reigns comes from off camera, hits a drive-by, taking out Kevin Owens. Roman then retorts to using the steps. Do you remember when they did TLC, tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs? So, okay, well, I guess you can use it. It's no disqualification. You can do whatever you want. You could use fire if you wanted to. We'll go into that again later. Drive-by, Uso is helped to the back. He's injured. And you know that's one of the tropes as well. If someone's sent out mid-match, injured, it's a good possibility they're going to come back.
I just wish he sold it more. I mean, maybe it's just me like being the perfectionist I am, but it's like you guys basically got a steel chair to your foot. Yeah. But then he came back and he didn't really sell it. It's kind of, maybe it's just me, but I would have liked him to be a bit more like, he's even on one leg, he's trying to help his cousin. But it's like, I would have liked him to sold it a bit more. But then on the flip side, he's not in the match, so maybe I'm being a bit too picky there in that sense.
So Roman Reigns then attacks with the steps, hitting Owens in the face, hitting him in the midsection. When he's done with the stairs, he just no-looks and launches the stairs behind him where the referee's standing. The referee's at great instinct, but just shits himself as the steps are just flung towards him. Can you imagine if the audience were there as well? It's like, oh, you could have killed someone.
He's like killed the ref, accidentally killed the ref by just like throwing stairs at him.
Actually killed the ref, and that's the reason why the referee could stay down for half an hour. You get hit in the face by flying steel steps, yeah.
Well, to be fair, we all know in the kind of refs in these kind of matches are kind of useless anyway. But yeah, it's and then after that, it's just kind of the kind of whole story was every time the kind of story that we said, like every time you thought, was it Kevin Owens kept coming back, super kicks, stunners, trying to get back into it, but like Roman Reigns, it was basically a 2-on-1 handicap match for most of the match.
Yeah.
And it's just like every time you thought, who's going to get back into it, KO's going to win it. Roman Reigns just came out now with a spear, Superman punch. I mean, some of the counters is really cool, I think. I think it was nearly one part of the match where it's like he had the table set up, and I think he was going to go for a stunner, or he was going to go for his power bomb, but he kind of like Roman Reigns countered it, came out of it, and hit a Superman punch in midair. That looked pretty sweet.
That was cool. I liked a little bit of revenge from Kevin Owens on the outside, burying Uso this time under the table. A little bit of revenge from last week. That was a nice little callback. But
then as always, and obviously this is kind of match where it got to really like kind of the "you have to kill me" segment kind of thing, where it's like after that when Reigns came back and then he just what was it? Was it took him? Was it put him through a tape? Was it put him through one? Was it
Samoan drop through the table?
Was it 3 tables? I think he put him through. But one table we just basically was it good old fashioned like spine buster kind of slam through one table. Then he done the Samoan drop on the second table, and then climb up that ladder. And then you've got KO with just like holding him by the foot, and he's got Roman Reigns' face like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, Roman Reigns is laughing. Roman Reigns goes back down off the ladder. Kevin Owens just slaps him in the face. "You're gonna have to kill me," and Roman Reigns does just that and spears him through the table.
I'm loving that intensity lately. Like ever since he turned heel, like he's just got a different edge, like a different. Like when he's hitting that spear, it just feels like it's a bit more intense than it used to be. But it's just the way when he hit that, it's like he slapped him in the face, and you're like, but then the speed of it, and it's just he puts him through the table, and then yet again you think, that's it, and then he had the bit, he's like sitting there going, you got to kill me, like literally, and it's like he golted him into going for a spear on the the timekeeper's area or the barricade, and completely destroyed it. So he kind of golted him in.
It was great camera angles again as well. It looked absolutely brutal. Like he launched himself into the barricade. But
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that it's basically smarts by KO. He knew he probably, if he kept getting up, he'll have to hit bigger and bigger moves to try and put him down. So he golted him into trying and hitting one of the ones on the outside, and it worked in some ways.
Yep.
yeah, and then afterwards it was just a situation of like obviously the bit I talked about with the powerbomb for the table type. He finally hit the pop-up powerbomb for the table, and Roman looked like he was going to win. But every time he was climbing that ladder, guess who was there to stop him? It seems to be the same thing every time, right? But again, it works for the story because obviously Roman talks about how great he is, but he always needs his cousin to help him out to get the win. That kind of, again, what just works on typical heel 101, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they talk about how great they are, but they always have to cheat to win. But again, the kind of the bit at the end when it's kind of like looks like KO is going to win, and then Roman Reigns comes up and goes to Dick Kick City, aka the low blow.
The low blow.
And then hits the the really what a shocker that they've got a move that every time it's locked in you pass out. So with that guillotine kind of chokehold he's got at the moment, KO's out, drops off the ladder, and then it's a situation Roman Reigns climbing to top. He can go as slow as he wants. KO's not getting up, gets the title, and is still the Universal Champion.
With that horrible strap still there, that peeling off.
Hate it. I don't think I'll ever like it. It just seems like it's to save money than actually making it like.
I've heard like the Velcro, like not on those ones. That was just like peeling off. It's obviously sticky, but when you get Velcro, no, it's a championship, but the buckle's on there. Bring back the classical hook instead of that little golden frame thing. Bring back the classical hook where you actually had to hook those buckles over and out of it, rather than just peeling it off. So it's easy. Make them work for it when they're on top of the ladder. Bring that back.
I don't know. It's just it's just being brought up with like the old WWF title, like the agitator, and the way that always looked really cool. It's just like pin it together. Just don't need that kind of Velcro thing. But I don't know. Save money probably. Typical WWE in that sense. They've got billions and billions of dollars, but they want to save a bit of cash so it looks a bit neat when it comes to their titles. But anyway, talk about the match though. It's like, again, it's TLC matches 9 times out of 10 you're never gonna get bored because it's just got it's got cool spots. You're gonna have cool spots. You've got tables, you've got ladders, you've got chairs, you've got anything's legal, so you're always going to be able to produce them spots that are really cool. But again, this story, but I think it's the best story I think KO's done since Shane, maybe,
possibly,
or maybe if you want to go far back, maybe Sammy. But I think the last time I think KO's been relevant was one about that Shane McMahon kind of thing. I think that was when it kind of.
There was that last thing when he feuded with Braun Strowman. He's basically just throwing his body around, effectively just killing himself, just to stay on like the main roster to get rewarded for something, which he should have done because he, in the Money in the Bank, not this year but the year prior, basically died. The cage match, he pretty much died. It's
just I don't know, man. It's just like it's just nice. It's probably the best work he's done in a very long time. And I think for me it proves that KO is, you've got something here, man. Do something with him. The guy's good. Obviously, I still think his best work as a heel, but I mean, he's not going to get the top dog as being the heel when Roman's now the top dog, if you want to go by that, or the tribal chief. Yeah. But I think it's just the best work he's done because he's actually feel relevant, and I like the kind of story of it's like a crossroad of his career. Like he's not doing it for just. He needs to win that title again. He's getting to that point of his career where if he doesn't win it now, he might never win it. And exactly. And also it just shows, as always, it just shows how tough KO is because he's basically the kind of, so he doesn't look bad in this. I think what I worry it's a one and done that worries me a little bit. I wish it was. I hope they can find a way to continue this into 2021 and do the Royal Rumble maybe. I would like that. I don't like it's been a one-off, And I think with Paul Heyman's promos, I would on Talking Smack that it looks like he can really make you believe in his kind of like he's very good at he's doing what he does with all the people when he was Brock, where he's just he bigs them up, so it always makes you feel like a threat. And I think with him with Roman, it just makes his matches special. So I don't know whoever they pick, but I would just think there's so much more there with KO. I wish they can keep him going and hope this will be a feud to build up to whatever. Maybe into like maybe last feud before he face whoever he faces at WrestleMania. That sadly is rumored to be Goldberg. That's I assume that I don't know anyone that would be happy with that personally.
We weren't happy with that last year. It was stupid. I think they're going to pay off this feud on SmackDown because it was announced that they're going to be competing against each other, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, inside a steel cage. So I think that's how they're going to end it. So they might, with that match, write off KO for a bit. He returns at the Rumble, perhaps, or just before Mania.
It cool, but again, it's like that's what sometimes annoys me about WWE. Sometimes they have one and done storylines like this. I know other wrestling companies do it, but it always feels like WWE. It feels like it's like, oh, okay, one and done sometimes. Like, oh, if we need to build some up just for 3 weeks, and then when they're over, chuck them to the curve. Yeah. And I think with KO, you've got a guy that's great in the ring, can talk. Like, we're not talking about like, scripted talk. Like, let him go with the races, and the guy can talk you into a building. The guy's great, and you're not doing anything with him. I mean, no. I think I don't know where it can go. I mean, I personally think if you've got Sami Zayn on the same, do a feud there. His roles are reversed now. He's the face.
That's potentially what I was thinking. So he comes back. Sami Zayn's still the champion. Like, whether he loses to Big E but then manages to win it back somehow because of, there's conspiracy, I demand a rematch, blah, blah, blah. He's sneaky, he finds a way to win. That helps Big E out because then Big E has to fight as a singles competitor. He's smarter now. He has more ring spots as a singles competitor. Kevin Owens comes back after being brutalized like The Rock was after WrestleMania 17. He's written off for a short while, then potentially comes back, challenges Sami Zayn. They've got history. Yep, I'd be happy for them to do that for sure.
And it hasn't been a while since they faced, I'm sure. I think so. The time frame, time frame thing works, doesn't it? Because normally it's like absence makes the heart grow fonder. So it's like with this case, it's like we haven't had that match for like a couple of years now. So yeah, it would still feel fresh, I think. But I think so. When it comes to Roman again, Goldberg, why? Why? Like, apparently it's supposed to be a move of the spear. It's like, oh, we both have the spear. It's like, you've got a perfect feud with Big E that you could do with Roman Reigns. Yeah, that's way more interesting.
I'd prefer to us if you're getting a legend in, I'd rather you do The Rock because that'll get you money in at least. He hasn't been in the ring for ages. I'd rather them do that.
Well, maybe he will because again, he's sitting there saying he's not going to be there. But then how many times you've heard that over the years, and then he turns it. But I mean, I would like that. But then on the flip side with Roman, I would like the idea of someone beating him that's not part time. Maybe maybe it's just me being that kind of guy. But I think Big E or Danny Bryan's the two best options. Danny Bryan's an obvious choice because he's Danny Bryan. I mean, it's always going to be sympathetic. And Big E, I think it's like that's why I think they're kind of building him up to head to. To maybe WrestleMania's too soon for him, maybe. But you are bigging him up for a big title win, like big world title win at some point. So, but if I was going to do short term, I think would Danny Bryan or Roman Reigns interest you at WrestleMania?
Potentially. I think there would be like a feud in between. I think. See how it goes because Danny Bryan's been a little bit quiet. I think. Well,
he was on the kickoff show with that 8-man tag. So
yeah.
But that's the problem with Danny Bryan at the moment. I guess because now I think he doesn't work as much now. I think he works less matches, so he's more selective. But I think it works because he's been involved in the story from the beginning with Roman Reigns in some ways with Jey Uso. So I don't think they had a match that I can think of. So against Roman Reigns, so it makes sense that maybe if it's not, maybe that's his opponent at Royal Rumble, and then maybe. But if they do Goldberg, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested.
I think they. But regardless, I mean, they could put him against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, but ultimately, I think Roman Reigns needs to hold the title until like Jimmy Uso comes back, and they can have a good few months, like at least, so they can have the full potential of the entire family.
So, would you give it into SummerSlam?
Yeah, I'd welcome to it if they had the right opponents and they did it well. make everyone really hate Roman Reigns.
Do you think he's like his character deserves needs a lengthy title reign?
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
I just it's one of the things as much as we all look at the Universal title as a joke now, right?
Yeah.
The only way you're going to make that title feel relevant is you be careful of who you let drop it to.
That's why I'm saying I'd rather than merge the titles, just have one WWE Championship. Because that would bother Roman Reigns, surely. Like, he's a WWE champion and Universal Champion. Some people still see it as a secondary kind of title, or secondary world title. And he beat Drew McIntyre. He is the champion, yet Drew holds the WWE Championship. And that's got to irk Reigns, surely, especially if he's beaten everyone. And now he's controlled everyone on the roster. He's dominated everyone. Now it's on the other side of the brand. He wants to dominate the entire WWE.
Again, it's so interesting. It makes sense storyline. It's a good storyline. Makes sense, but it's one of those it's an error feud. Like it was said before when we were talking about Drew earlier. It's like it's that define an error. I don't want to use COVID error, but it kind of is. 2 stars that have one. Was it? I think I said someone. I think it's Drew that is reached his potential we always thought he could be. Yeah, and you've got Roman Reigns that has the potential that WWE wanted him to be. So it's they're both starting to we kind of have their potential. So it's their kind of story is kind of similar in some ways. Yeah. But I think that's a feud that you would want a crowd there. It depends on if there's a crowd there at the WrestleMania. That I hope so, but I hope so as well. But if they want a marquee match that wants to bring in the kind of hardcore how. You don't need the big stars. Honestly, you could make this WrestleMania great with just Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns and big it up as this epic encounter, and that'd be enough for me. You don't need to have Goldberg. You don't have to have Brock. You don't have to have if they bring back the Undertaker, because he says he's retired, but let's be honest, when's that stopped him before? He's going to go on a big crowd. But what have we booked for WrestleMania so far? So we've got Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Potentially Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but Big E might be Intercontinental Champion, who knows. Triple threat match or a submission match involving Shayna Baszler, Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee. I gotta be honest, I just realised we should really write this down and put it on Twitter. I just realised this is the kind of conversation I love having on Twitter, where basically you put after we do this, we'll write this down and put it on Twitter and see what happens. This is what we think WrestleMania card should be, and see what people think. I think we've concocted a quite interesting card. I think so. Yeah. Well, the question is, who would take more credit, you or me? Don't know. Well, we don't have to take. I don't have to take 60%. You have to take 40%. It's we just come up with it. I'm sure other people have come up with the same idea. I know. As well. I know. Some people have been more ambitious. Well, I guess. Yeah, but I think it's for our card. It seems like it's a situation. The way we put it up is it makes sense. It seems more real, possible. It seems like that's where they're going. Then some people kind of just go crazy sometimes and go when they kind of book a card. We just do this, and this. But the chances of that happening is very slim. So, but we might do that. Might not. It depends on. I might put it up on Twitter and we'll see what happens, because I would like to have a little discussion about this, because it's always fun talking about wrestling with our wrestling fans. Yeah. Well, I enjoy it anyway. But yeah, so that's what he set up. So game that was a great TLC match, fun to watch, cool spots, predictable winner, but it was still entertaining as hell. So yes, obviously now let's talk about the match that kind of everyone was kind of intrigued going into this pay-per-view. Let's be honest, right? I mean, to be fair, it's going into one question to go ask before we talk about it. It's when you thought of was it Firefly Infernal match, right? What was your thoughts? What were you thinking? What would it be like, pretty much? So, when I heard Firefly, when I first read it, I thought it said Firefly Funhouse. Okay, cool. This is going to be a great character assassination, I guess, or character study of Orton, like it was with Cena. That writes Orton off. But no, it's Firefly Inferno. So, okay, is it in the Firefly Funhouse, but in that ring that Cena and Bray were in, but the ring's on fire, or they're literally surrounded in hell? The cinematic kind of version of that. So everything's on fire. Maybe it's set in the Firefly Funhouse, but they end up going back to the old
Wyatt compound and having a fight in the like you would have at a monster movie, at the end of a monster movie, the whole climax where everything's on fire, you're trying to fight off the demon, it's the last boss. Will the hero succeed? Will he fail? If he is the hero, he's not really the hero. No one's really the hero in this one.
No, I mean, as much as they try to push that, Bray's not a good guy.
He's not. No,
he's just he's a bit less. He's just a bit less messed up than Randy.
Yeah,
but they're still quite bad people. But yeah, I mean, as you said, it's like I thought it'd be a cinematic match. It seems like it was set up. Like Firefly using again. Last time we had that in the name of a match, it was in that really great. Really, I do enjoyed it now. The match against John Cena at WrestleMania. So I thought it'd be that, but they just put Infernal. But that's just like when you saw Randy Orton come by himself, like just like come down as a match. I'm like, oh.
And when the Fiend, so he's looking around. He's obviously very worried. The Fiend then comes down, signature entrance with the lantern, and the code orange theme. He gets in the ring, and the bell rings. There's no fire. Where the hell's the fire? Usually the fire is by the on the hardest part of the ring. So imagine that it's the hardest part of the ring and it's on fire. But no, there was no fire. Where what I did have a worry for Randy Orton, when he did look worried, but I worried more for Bray. When he came down the big leather jacket, I had a feeling okay, I have a feeling you might be the one set on fire here. But I also worried about his dreadlocks as well. It's like, you're going to burn your dreadlocks, dude. You're going to lose them.
I didn't notice that, like, with the cat jacket, because I was going for the match, like, oh, he's still wearing his jacket. Why is he still wearing his jacket? Maybe you clocked it on quicker than I did, but it's like I didn't clock on that at all during the match. I think I was just like, through this match, it was like anything. It had the same feeling that I had when I was watching that Eye versus Eye match. How are they going to pull this off?
Yeah, it's not as it sounds odd, but setting someone on fire is not as bad as gouging someone's eye out. It sounds odd to say, but
yeah.
Your Honour, I didn't gouge his eye out. I only burnt him. We didn't burn him.
No, but I'm just. But it's, no, well, that's probably one of the most weirdest moments in 2020. But I don't know. It's just I was trying to figure it out because it's like, yeah, you can do. If it was just an Inferno match for just to make it more spectacle, I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But the idea of the match is to burn any part of someone's body, and I was like, oh, how the hell are they going to do this without being corny and awkward?
Yeah,
because again, I didn't think they would do what they did because they've never gave me any reason to believe that they would. So I guess in that the shock factor kind of worked in that sense, but yeah, it's like as always with theme matches, it always started off with Randy just like kind of hitting him, but it's like a typical, as you said, boss kind of the monster, the serial killer in a horror movie. He's like he just doesn't affect him, doesn't phase him.
He's laughing. It's a creepy old laugh as well. It's fantastic.
Bray good at brilliant. It's like he's just got that character down to a T. But yeah, and it's just got a situation where it's just like Orton was just trying to get any advantage, couldn't get the Fiend down. I think he kind of hit the barricade or kind of like hit the Sister Abigail or something like that, and then all of a sudden he kind of made the laugh or kind of like well basically we always thought you said there was no fire. Yeah,
until he does his Kane moment. Arms come up, arms come down.
Totally whips off Kane. It's like basically Kane would be like, you can remember the meme, just looking unimpressed. Yeah. You're stealing my gimmick, man. It's my gimmick with the fire. Stop nicking it.
That's still one of the funniest. That's still one of the funniest pictures with the Undertaker where Kane didn't get the memo.
Yeah. And there's even a picture. It's even a better picture of that as well. With I think it was like they had like that at the bar, right? And it's like a bar, and they're all about like the picture at the bar, like in the stadium. And there's still a picture of, and Kane's still sitting there, there's still standing there with his Kane costume on, with that face of just like, yeah, I shouldn't be wearing this. It's like you feel out of place, but that's still quite cool. But yeah, Kane will be looking at this like, mate, fire's my thing. Get your own thing, Yeah,
I guess so. I'm not quite sure where the Fiend emerged from actually.
It looks like he's from hell. Well, someone's in a version of hell. maybe it's some deep stuff like that. But yeah, and after that, it was just basically Orton trying to survive, as you would expect. We had the pickaxe.
Yeah, there's just beforehand as well. Yeah, the fucking pickaxe as well. Like, Jesus Christ.
Where'd he go with this match, man?
A pickaxe, absolutely fine. Pickaxe, absolutely fine. Little hammer, very bad.
No logic, is it? No logic.
It's dumb. Beforehand, you had the Fiend taking out a strap from underneath the ring. Hits Orton 3 times with the strap. He sets fire to it. And thank God this was a pre-record, and thank God there wasn't an audience there, because he hurled that thing. I was like, that's going into the crowd. You couldn't do that.
It was just like it was in unique ways. You had that. You had obviously the really messed up thing that kind of weird. The way he edited it was really weird. But when he obviously got his the Bray Wyatt's film, a rocking chair.
Yeah, it was a great element to have the rocking chair. But the problem is they just revealed it was there before it was used, so it ruined the surprise.
Yeah, and then obviously you got the bit where it's like he puts the gasoline on and then does the whole thing where he tails the gasoline so like it will go, and then puts Randy in it, and it's like, again, the problem with that kind of spot is like, yeah, he's not going to be doing it, obviously. But I don't know, I don't know if it's just me being like critical eye and maybe me being a dick, but it's like it was edited really weird.
Yeah, there's lots of well, they obviously did it multiple times, because obviously you can't just sit there and, you know, if he gets burnt, you know, that chair that's covered in. If you're covered in gasoline, you're screwed. So they did it. They did it multiple times, pre-records. Do I think they could have? He could have just seen it lit and then just jumped straight out of the chair. Yeah, I think so. They could have just done that in one take, but obviously they weren't comfortable doing it. You work with. I had a saying in when I do my fight directing, I do my stage combat. Whenever I teach something or I tell someone to do something, I wouldn't tell them to do it unless I was fully capable and comfortable doing it myself. You say, okay, Stu, there's a giant building there, so in this shot, I need you to jump off this 20-foot and land on the hard floor. Okay, can you do that for me? You say, no, fuck off. But then if I did it, I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. There we go.
But then you'd be dead, so then I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to do that now. So
yeah, then I'd be dead if I did it wrong. Yeah, if I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, don't tell people. Yeah, it's like leading by example. You know, I want you to do this. This is how I want you to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I always go by the principle if you can't fully pull it off, like, why do it in the first place?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think there's cooler ways to do it. I mean, what do you make it picking? Because it would have been. It does look cool when you see like a rocking chair on fire. It's very horror, kind of like, you know, 1980s kind of horror when you're in a haunted house type thing. Mm-hmm. It's a cool thing, but I don't know. It's just it. I don't know, if you're not going to fully commit to that kind of spot, don't do it, because obviously you can't. But
no.
But I don't know. It's not a big deal. But then it's just that went on fire, of course, because, you know, has to be done. I didn't even realise they actually put like the barricade of like, was it the barricades was over the stage or something? So it's like I was for, oh, it's all over this part of the ring, and then it's like, oh, okay, now it's on that part of the ring, so it's pretty much everywhere. These flames. Obviously, the bit you got to point out, they kind of done what an Inferno match is. That every time there was some kind of move or big move, the flames kind of kept rising up type situation.
It reminds me of the gameplay. I think it was SmackDown vs. Raw. I think it was 2008, 2009 when you had the Inferno match. But the more momentum you got, the flames would burst up like that, or they'd the temperature would increase. It's like, all right, that's how fire works. Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, especially if you've got fire surrounding you in a ring, it would be like that. But it's, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's just, it's like they've done it with it's ironic because I just realised that obviously Bray's first match was an Inferno match against Kane. So maybe I totally forgot about it. It's been so long. So, but yeah. But it's like, I don't know if it takes me out when, you know, like when they make a move and then all of a sudden the flames just like make, you know, flames start going up. I don't know if it takes me out of it a little bit. Yeah,
when it syncopates a bit, I quite like the surprise kind of elements. He's about to do something, but suddenly, boom, there's a big burst of flame. Oh, I almost got caught out there. It was more of a surprising element.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then again, I think for me, fire being around the ring is enough for me.
I quite like the setup though, where everything is around, so that they actually had scope to go around the ring, the announce table area, the barricades, which is good, I think, as opposed to being stuck in the ring. And if you've got the audience there, and you're surrounded by fire, you can't really do a lot. The visibility's not great. So I actually preferred this setup.
But the only good problem is you can only really do it
in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, and with no crowd. Let's be honest. I guess this is a match that's going to be defined by it being in the Corridor.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a match they're going to bring back, unless they go full cinematic with it when there's a crowd, maybe. But but again, we're tiptoeing around the issue, man. We know what we all want to talk about. Let's be honest. It's what's on the picture. It's what everyone was on Twitter after it happened was talking about. Obviously, before the setup, one thing, Randy was trying to go for the RKO, completely. Was it completely, or was it got countered by the Fiend? And obviously, Fiend get the manual claw, and then and Orton was trying to counter it, and then, as you said, with the jacket, kind of sets up, and then boom, you're sitting there going, "My God, the guy's on fire!" Fire.
Oh, here comes the bell. Let's ring the bell. Ding, ding, ding. Someone goes to extinguish the Fiend. Nope, the Fiend just keeps on chasing Orton. Jesus Christ, this monster won't die.
I was literally like watching like afterwards, like going, "All right, so he's won, right?" Right?
Yeah.
I thought the rules were whoever got burnt. Like there's nothing, and then I found it funny that also unfortunately the flames caught his leg as well, so it wasn't just It wasn't just his jacket. It's like he's part of his leg was on fire. It's like, oh God, that must. Ugh.
Well, if you're going to play with fire, you're going to get burnt. That's the risk.
True, but then I was shocked because it's like, one, I didn't think they were going to go this far. I thought they would find a goofy way of making it. Find a way like it would just be like some part of the body or like just a little bit. But I didn't think they'd go for that full on like this in walking with freaking his jacket on fire, looking like it looked cool. I gotta be honest, it looked pretty sweet. But then obviously he came back into the ring, and obviously then an RKO by Orton. And let's talk about the bit everyone talks about. Fiend's out. He's laying there.
And Orton effectively does what any intelligent hero in any movie does. If there's a monster down, say a zombie, if you watch Zombieland as well, you fully know you go for the double tap.
Yep.
Always a double tap. Make sure that bastard's dead.
That's the rules, man.
In order to do so, he commits murder. So here's the thing as well. It's annoying because it took me out a little bit, and you could see where it was going. I wish they were more inventive or a bit braver with the camera trickery. They could have done this at the last minute, the last shot. So Orton turns the Fiend over. Is he alive? No, but I can't take any chances. So he gets out the ring, produces a matchbox. Produces the gas canister, which was outside, used from the rocking chair bit. He douses the Fiend in gasoline, which he tried to do the previous week on the go home of Raw, but he just doused the box, and the Fiend jumped out of it, and that's a great image of Randy Orton just looking like he shat himself. He douses the Fiend in gasoline, produces the matches here, and then listening to the voices in his head, as we listen to the voice on commentary going, "No, Randy, no, no, no," and the crowd would be going, "Yes, yes, yes." Well, some would be chanting yes, some would be chanting no.
I mean, no, I was like, I couldn't have been the only one here that was like, he won't do it. That won't happen. He won't do it.
Yeah.
They won't let someone they won't do it, and then boom, they did it. And it sounds silly to say, but because he was like, well, duh, of course I wouldn't burn someone. But at first you're like, oh shit, they did it. And then you look at the picture and it's like, oh duh, it's a bloody doll. But I thought the initial shock was like,
yeah. But problem was, you could tell it was a dummy. As soon as you turned him on his back, if you look at the belly, look at the diaphragm, it's not moving. I mean, you can just hold it there for a while, but try breathing without moving. Try lying down on your back and try and not move your belly, not move your diaphragm. It's very, very challenging. You can't do it for a long time, and it's clearly visible. The diaphragm will be moving up and down here. It's not moving at all. So either Bray Wyatt is actually dead, or they put a dummy in. It's clearly a dummy.
I know it just sounds silly to like sit and go, us discussing it. It sounds silly, like, of course they are, of course they would. But it's like, again, I didn't think in a million years they would do a thing. For me, when I saw this, it's one, because of the USA Network have come out saying they want a bit more dark and edgier stuff. Yeah. And when I thought of it, it feels like, for me, it's like, it feels like there was shows when they sit there and say, how are we going to boost the rating? Well, if you want, we'll just commit murder on live TV. That always gets ratings. And I'm like, and that's what I thought. It's like, how do we get shock factor and ratings? Oh, I know it's wrestling logic. That's just commit murder. Wrestling murder. Why not?
I can understand why they showed it, because when you show it, it's much more impactful than when it's just implied. When you show that someone's been burnt, oh yeah, that person's definitely dead. It's a strong image. If someone's buried under something, for example, you don't know. They could be. It's likely they're dead, but there's chances that they might be completely safe under there, and they come back. It happens in a lot of TV shows.
Well, that's why they normally. That's why I think they normally went for the box. Like they obviously done it with the Undertaker. It's like that's why you go for that kind of. You put him in a coffin, because you can burn it. You still have the impact, but no one's hurt.
Yeah, and they had all the stuff on the ramp way. You had all the chairs, tables, whatever. You could have a big old setup on the stage. You could have the Fiend tumble down into loads of tables, ladders, chairs, whatever it is. Orton could then bury him perhaps underneath there. Make sure, he can't move, he's definitely dead. And then, what's he got in mind? Then sets the whole pile on fire.
I don't know, it's just it's one of those things. It's like, we know what, the problem is watching it, you know why he did it. They didn't do it. You could sit there and say, yes, it makes Orton look like more of a sick guy he is, because he just technically burnt someone. Like basically burnt him to death. But I think the problem with it is like, they did it for like shot factor. Oh my god! And you were intrigued to watch Raw to see what they were going to do with it.
Yeah.
And I made it like with the Alexa Bliss kind of playground kind of thing.
I like that.
I wouldn't say it squandered it. It didn't squander the storyline, but it squandered what they could have done. They could have that could have been a hook for a show, and then they could have put on this great show overall, and then people are like, oh, this could be a starter sign. But they basically done it was a cheap trick for like 24 hours, and then they've just gone back to normal, and it's just like,
someone's just died, basically. Someone's been cremated into the mat.
It should be a massive deal. It's like and I mean, I think that's a problem with wrestling. It's like they just brush it up as just, I know it's like the Fiend's supposed to be that supernatural kind of like monster and stuff, but they should be reacting it in this kind of way that's like, yes, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like, unless the Fiend's personally like attacking you, it's like he doesn't exist. It's like a ghost that only particular people can see. Otherwise, it's like, it's not referenced otherwise.
Yeah, but it's bad I can sit there say that again. That promo with Alexa Bliss was really good. She's really good, really. Yeah. What's the word? Involved? No, that's the word. She's really committed to that character, and she's doing a beautiful job. She's doing great. There's so many possibilities. Like, could the Fiend like engulf her? Like, because obviously we always think the Fiend is like a parasite, or like this thing that can go between people to people. Maybe you could do a thing where like maybe the Fiend in Bray Wyatt's dead, but maybe it's like engulfed Alexa. And it's like she starts to turn into this kind of Fiend character. That you could say it's goofy, but again, she's been doing a beautiful job of she could keep the story going for a couple of months. Why? Yeah. They kind of they're either gonna bring the Fiend back as just bringing him back, or this is a chance to kind of reinvent him again.
Yeah, I think Bray should stick to the Fiend character, because firstly, it doesn't make sense to kill off the character which has the most interest, is the most interesting character, most amount of context on the roster, but also like merchandise wise, how many people are buying Fiend t-shirts, Christmas jumpers, masks. it makes no sense to kill it off. Like for a short while, fine, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. What I can imagine them doing is when they do a big return, basically just do a whole mind games thing. Do Undertaker and Orton, there are mind games. Like, is it just the voice in Orton's head, or is it the Fiend actually haunting Orton? And when I think it's a nice thing for a potential image change, I think. So Alexa mentioned that his flesh was like charred, and burnt, so he's got like this melty face, or maybe he's like kind of more charcoal, like horribly disfigured, like skin as well, so there's more makeup done as well. So making the Fiend's appearance less frequent, you can make his appearance less frequent because the amount of makeup that would be required, he'd be needed for a long time.
I think there's an opportunity here, man. It's like this could be Alexa, like time to shine. It's kind of because again she's. I don't want to use the word Paul Heyman in the sense of like being the mouthpiece, one of the big attractions away, but in the sense of that she is kind of the mouthpiece for him in some ways when the Fiends are out. So it would make sense that she's kind of, and the kind of story of her has always been that she's kind of possessed by him anyway. So maybe it's like while he's away, she's gonna like possess her more and see her transformation, or like she haunts Randy, as you said. Maybe she'd be involved with Randy. Because the story was always, I think the story they're bringing up to going into this match was the thing with who controls the Fiend. Does the Fiend control Alexa Bliss, or does Alexa Bliss control the Fiend?
I think it's the first. I think, but in terms of like mind games, like who's playing who, was more interesting. Is the Fiend playing with Orton, or is Orton playing with the Fiend? Because there was that lovely stalemate where he's got Alexa in his arms. And at that moment, that's when it looks like the Fiend is vulnerable.
That's like, that's what I mean. It's like it's got. Normally, I'd be bothered, but it's like because now you've got like Alexa Bliss, like that kind of person. You can continue this feud through her, and I think she's going to be really good at it. And it keeps her doing something interesting because it's probably her best works. This stuff's been her best work since maybe 16, maybe, or when she had her first like Raw, when she had them. Runs with the titles and the Raw and SmackDown titles, like when she was like was it the goddess? I always forget now. Yeah, when she was the god like that, like when she was proper, like when she was a heel, that was her best work. So I think it's potential there because obviously it's got so many hallmarks to the Undertaker and Orton feud,
I think they do. I think it does lead to like another Firefly Funhouse match, Orton and the Fiend, and that's when Orton is then written off. Then we see that new Fiend, perhaps. So just constantly play those mind games for months and months and months, until eventually Orton has to, what's the word I'm looking for? Has to confront his own demons, and the only way he can do it is, and you discover that Orton is the monster all along. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's more of an interesting match than no offense to Edge, because the rumors are it's going to be Randy Orton Edge. No offense to Edge. As someone pointed out rightly, like I think it was someone said, but let this sink in. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend's gone against Randy Orton in a Firefly Funhouse match, right? And have Edge go against AJ.
That's what I immediately was thinking when you had that first face off of the Royal Rumble when Edge and AJ are facing off. So okay, this is where they're going. That's cool. And then the whole Orton stuff happened. RKO. I was like, okay, this is where they're going. I like that as well. But Edge and AJ, I'd very much like to see.
So again, as I said, Edge, love that match. I think that's more of a better use of Edge's time than having a rematch with Randy Orton when we've already had two. So I think AJ would be better. But because what is AJ doing? What's he going to be doing at WrestleMania? That's what I mean. It's just it makes sense. And I think having Randy against eventually Randy's going to have to face his demons. And again, wouldn't that be? They've done John Cena last year, this year. Imagine looking back at Orton's past through the Firefly Funhouse. Isn't that more exciting? Doesn't that excite you more?
Yeah, the whole... how many years has it been now? 2002? 18 years? There's a lot to decipher.
And also Orton and John Cena debuted around about the same time. So they've got the same amount of history and kind of stuff. So, and they've both got they've two got demons that, critics that you can look into. Especially with Orton, with the whole, he's always been given stuff, he's always been protected, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You could always, there's a way you can make that into the Firefly Funhouse somehow. It's just
there's no one to protect him in the Firefly Funhouse.
Isn't that more interesting than a match between Edge that we've already seen and having, I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not interested in that. I've seen it twice and it was great.
No, why are we repeating WrestleMania?
I know, it's like
why
they're thinking, well, fans. I don't need to see that.
No, because we've already seen it.
I think especially with Edge, AJ, the guy can make a good match out of anything. So especially with Edge, I mean, come on, write itself. But the good thing is, I've heard that because of the bad ratings, they've had to completely shelve their plans. So maybe it's going to be completely different what's been rumoured. So maybe they might go the way that we were all thinking. It would be great. So
I still don't know what they're doing for Royal Rumble, because they said they're going to do something different.
I don't know. I can't think what they can do that's different than just either the chat. The only two things I've always thought you can do Royal Rumbles is either you obviously win it, you get a title shot, or or you can do the bit where the title's on the line in the match. So if you win it, you win the title.
Unless you're doing, I don't know, because they've got a bigger roster. Unless you're doing like a pure, like each roster has a Rumble. I don't know, but that'd be worse. I like 2 Rumble matches with specific spots, but obviously with COVID, everyone's trying to keep separate, especially NXT are trying to keep separate from everyone else.
Yeah.
So does NXT have its own Rumble?
I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know how they would do it. Like,
how do you make the Royal Rumble different? Surely you want the familiarity, because then at least we've got the Royal Rumble to look forward to. It's still there. Why change it up?
The pay-per-view maybe, but like the match itself, it doesn't need to be touched, like in the sense of changing it. The concept is intriguing enough,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know, but it'd be interesting because obviously last I'm kind of on the fence who I think's going to win it. So I don't know who's going to win it. I mean, if you go by rumours, Keith Lee would be a perfect pick for me. But
Keith Lee, Big E, if Edge returns.
But then I you know what's against like kind of full-time, part-timers kind of winning Royal Rumbles. I don't.
Oh, fucking Goldberg. Going back to Goldberg.
No. Let's talk about positive. No. I'm turning into Danny Bryan heel turn. No.
Not
happening. But anyway, cool. So hopefully that happens, because the idea of having those 2 matches we just talked about with Randy Orton, Fiend, Edge, AJ, way more interesting than the ones that they're supposedly planned. So fingers crossed that this stuff is true, that they're rethinking their plans, and maybe we might get these matches. If you do, WrestleMania is going to be good this year. Yeah, but so I guess as you said, let's wrap this up. So I got to be honest, like, I was kind of surprised how good this pay-per-view was. I can't find a match that was out of place. I can't find a match that felt, even like the World Tag Team Championship match was quite entertaining enough, and it was pretty decent. I think this is really, people are saying, is this the best, possibly up there with best WWE pay-per-view of the year? Up there? Or do you think they've just been overreacting a little bit? What's your thoughts?
It's probably I'd say the best in the Thunderdome, because they utilised it in different ways, like the Inferno match, like for example. The TLC matches, both were good. They all had different stories, different obstacles, different varying levels of brutality. The Carmella Sasha match, I wasn't like I'm too big into. It was more kind of okay, let's give Sasha some momentum, like cementing her reign. What kind is it going to be? The Hurt Business New Day was, as I said before, it's a very predictable show. Doesn't make that a bad thing. I still enjoyed it, especially the TLC matches, the Inferno match. I'm not big on like the Shayna and Nia Jax team. But yeah, apart from that, I did enjoy the show. I wasn't bored. There were no, we said this before, there were no bad matches, and every match sort of belonged. And it was quite nice to have just 6 matches on the card and allow the main event or the main features to have that 20+ minute runtime. It needed time to breathe.
Yeah, the matches that matter. Well, I don't say the matches that matter more than the others. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, I was going through it. I think it's like when I watch every WWE pay-per-view now, it's always a situation where I've gone, okay, I'm waiting, okay, that's good, and I'm kind of going for the match, waiting for that moment that makes me go, ugh. It's like, oh god, this company. But like I'm going through it, and it's like, if you go by standalone pay-per-view, you might be talking about the build-ups, but yeah, TLC match, the first one was really good. I think that was entertaining. They always are. And I like the Sasha Banks, Carmella match a little bit more. I think it's because it reminds me how good Carmella is. And I like I always like matches that kind of have really cool, slick kind of counters, or kind of like, into submissions and that. I like them kind of stuff. So I like that. The tag team match, the War one, was like, it was short, but it was good enough. And the action was kind of entertaining, so that was fine. The women's one, women's tag team, is like, it was a shock, and them winning, that was probably the weaker matches of the card, I would say. And then obviously Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens was as entertaining as you think, maybe a bit more brutal than maybe the first TLC. And then obviously the Inferno match, the Firefly Inferno match, was just ball to the walls crazy in the best possible way. So, and
what a way to have that last image of the year, the WWE pay-per-view, like, just burned into your memory, figuratively and literally.
Or maybe it's like symbolism of like, this is what we want to do to 2020.
Yeah, this is what 2020 is. This has all happened. We had bushfires. We had bushfires at the start of the year. COVID happened. We still can't get Brexit deal sorted. Celebrities dying. Even worse than 2016. And then at the end of it, we killed the Fiend.
Nice one, Randy. Nice one. But yeah, I think it's like, that's the image. Let's be honest. If you think about this pay-per-view, that's the image. And normally when you have these kind of few pay-per-views, like, they always end in negative. You always you remember this pay-per-view because it sucked, or like had a really corny ending. But again, you could say this is corny, but gotta be honest, it done what it was supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think, how are you going to follow up with this?
There's intrigue what's going to happen, because surely the Fiend isn't dead. They wouldn't kill it off. This is Freddy versus Jason stuff.
Yeah. But for me, it felt like it was maybe it was like a signal that they're going to change how they do things in general. That they're maybe going to go, but then I thought then that was like a 2-second thought, and then I realised we're talking about the WWE here, so that's obviously me just being naive. Yeah,
because they've gone down that route before. Because remember, we had because you could argue the time after the Attitude Era was more ruthless. I mean, you only have to look at the feud between Kane and Shane McMahon, where they were setting each other on fire, electrocuting each other. Brutal stuff.
I gotta be honest, this match done really messed up in the head. Going back to watch how mental that all went is kind of mildly entertaining. Especially the bit where only WWE in that era would you go, the most shocking thing in this era was someone on fire, but they're like that was just a typical Monday night for them.
Yeah, everyone got set on fire every week.
JR, poor JR. I mean, come on. I mean, how many times?
I know.
I mean, obviously the bit with was it electrocuting his Shane McMahon's testicles on live TV. Even as much as you can be a big man, I think his reaction to that was like when he saw what Kane was doing, he's like, no, please don't do that. He sold quite well, but basically like that's another Monday Night Raw that used to get that all the time. People, possibly attempted murder. I mean, how many times did the joke is online with like Triple H? It's like Triple H basically got trucked from a car from a forklift, and then the next night he had like a plaster on his forehead. It's like
the amount of hit and runs.
I mean, Austin, how many times has Austin been attacked by a car? Probably 3 times in the last how many years?
Steel cages every now and again on Raw, keeping us on the toes, which is quite nice.
Was it explosions? I mean, how many times was it someone faking their own death with Vince? I mean, just like we can name it. We could do like a list of like the most shockingly over the top stuff. But it done its job, and it's but only for like a 24 hours. Then you realise that we got duped again. But
they have tried to top it this year, because it's kind of been almost like an episode of Game of Thrones. We've had someone being poisoned. We've had someone's eye being gouged out. We've seen that several attempts. someone being set on fire, someone basically being deleted in the Firefly Funhouse.
I mean, was it and someone buried alive?
Someone buried alive.
Again, I love that match and it's great send off for Undertaker, but it still annoys me that next night AJ's alright. It's like there's no psychological scars to being buried alive.
Yeah. He came back he was off for a month, but he came back and he was fine.
No, and then we had that bit of the was it Money in the Bank where it's like he looked into was it when they were doing the whole thing and he opened the door and it was the Undertaker and he kind of was freaked, but he never done anything.
Oh, there's a poster of the Undertaker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like never done anything with it. That just annoying. No. But it's not. But yeah, crazy year, right? But this is not the podcast to talk.
Could say that.
It's not the podcast. This is not the podcast to do looking at 2020. That's for our last one of the year. There will be in the next couple of days when we can. Yeah. Sad truth, obviously, I think we're going to find some time for that. Sadly, well, good, but we like doing it, but we're going to have more time than we would like. Sadly, but yeah, so obviously, but yeah. Well, if you're going to give it a rating, we'll do another 7, 8. Would you give it a 7.5 maybe?
Yeah, we're getting close to 8, I'd say.
I can't not give it 8 really, because it's like I can't. What was it? The matches that like the 2 TLC matches were great, and obviously the main event was just brilliant. Like in a sense of storyline wise, and it's. I mean, people, if you don't like that stuff, you'll hate this. But I think it's cool. I mean, it is a bit hulky with the burn alive, but you know, it's
quite melodramatic.
Yeah, but then it works for characters because obviously. A Fiend is more of a symbol. It's not really a man. It's more of a amalgamation of like someone's like fear. Like he's like a monster. Like he's like amalgamation of fear or stuff like that. And obviously Randy Orton hasn't been this crazy and this sadistic probably since that feud with Triple H probably. And even then he didn't do anything like he's doing now. You know. So again we'll talk about it in the 2020 thing. But yeah, it's like this is Orton's been best year for years. So. And what a way to end his great run that he's burnt someone. It's like, but yeah, it's I'll give it 8 out of 10. I think it's the best COVID era, empty stadium kind of pay-per-view of the year, I would say. Like that.
For WWE, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. I just don't, I like, everyone says Royal Rumble, but it's 2 different eras, man. It's like literally one was normal and the other one's.
Yeah.
So I set.
WrestleMania onwards, yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, 8 out of 10. So, gotta be honest, I'm so glad I put it on our little JSP Awards kind of survey thing because I got a feeling people might pick it, you know. So, but
maybe.
Yeah. So that's the end of this. Will be the last review of any pay-per-views or anything. But as we said, we'll be back for our kind of look at 2020 basically, or as a JSP Awards 2020. We're back. We're gonna stick to the awards. We've got 8 categories this year. So hopefully that'll be we've got some good ones. It should be picked. We've got like a little survey this year, no polls because that got really uncomfortable last year.
You made Twitter angry.
I really did. Yeah.
Which is to us, it's a really easy thing to do to make Twitter mad.
It's just you don't put one wrestler and everyone's like. I mean, it was a constructive debate, but it was like I just wanted the people to put a fair. Just like, I thought this guy, but this guy was like proper, like, you know, wait, Phoenix, why is he not on there? I'm like, sorry, mate, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, and I can only put 4 on a poll, so I've learned from my mistakes. So it's now all in a survey that should be pinned on our top of our Twitter at Josh and Stu Pod. But we'll keep plugging that because obviously I want to get as much votes as possible because I want to see what everybody else thinks of what they thought like the best match, best superstar. Or the best wrestler, best pay-per-view, all that kind of stuff, you know? See what they think. And the great thing is, as much as it's been a crappy year when it comes to life in general, pro wrestling-wise, mate, it's been great.
It's been okay. It's been all right.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I can't wait to talk about it. There's so much cool stuff happened this year. Well, maybe I've just got a bit more, you know, but I think it's been I don't know, it's just it's rekindled my love for it, so... Maybe I'm a bit more giddy than most. So, but yeah, so we'll be back for that. Hopefully we're not sure when we're going to record that yet, but we'll definitely get it out. Bob, we're going to definitely get it out before the end of the year. So you got that nice little thing to look forward to for the end of the year because we've got some big plans for 2021. We do.
We do.
So yes, we'll be back for that. But when it comes to reviewing in general, I don't know if we're gonna just skip and go to the Royal Rumble, or we're gonna be doing a 1-1 Wrestle Kingdom, because that's on. What a way to start 2021, as it always is. Wrestle Kingdom.
I think so. We've done it for the last 2 years.
Yeah. And the good thing is, it's because it's so early in the morning. It's a good thing we can always do if you play it right. We can do a quick reaction of it. Like, we can watch it and then boom, record it afterwards. But that's if we're like, really on it. But never works out though.
Well,
we try.
It's likely we're going to have time. So
yeah, but if there's one thing I appreciate this year, is that wrestling has got me through it. Either watching it, reviewing it, writing about it, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's kept me going, kept me busy.
Mm-hmm.
So, gotta appreciate it. But I always love. I can't wait. Wrestle Kingdom's always exciting. So, yes, we're probably going to do that for the start of 2021. So look forward to that. But yeah, so when it comes to, we'll be back a couple of days, probably. Obviously after Christmas, because obviously when we do our next one, obviously it'll be Christmas. Obviously, hope Merry Christmas to everyone who's listening. Hope you have a good one. It's not going to be the same, but it's still Christmas, so I hope you have a good one and stay safe and all that stuff. Yes, and so we'll be back probably in the next couple of days after Christmas to do our end of the year. So it's going to be fun. So we've still got some stuff to look forward to. So as always, we're talking way too much. So I think we have to end it.
Get on with it.
Just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. So yeah, that's to send it off with. I'm Mr. Evan.
I've been Joshua Plummer.
And Merry Christmas, everyone. And we'll see you soon. So bye, everyone. Bye.
Merry Christmas.